Chapter 95. F***CK. Another king-level general. What's going on? I remember that the person who bought the king-level skill book is surnamed Phone, right? His in-game ID seems to be his real name too? Who the hell knows? F***CK. Without a king-level skill book, there's no way to enter the Khanate stage. If he becomes a king-level general, doesn't that mean he has a king-level skill book? That shouldn't be the case. F***CK. Isn't Yi Chun the only one who has a king-level skill book? Could it be that this Shan Wansan is another awesome person? Definitely. F***CK. There's so many awesome people out there. Just as the players were discussing in the World Channel, the World announcement sounded again. Ding! Congratulations to player Westgate Big Official for becoming the 3rd king-level general. Special reward. Innate attribute +1. F***CK. Another one. What's going on? 2 at once? How would I know? F***CK. Today is an April Fool's Day. However, before the players could recover from their shock, the World announcement sounded again, and it was a series of announcements. Ding! Congratulations to player Qin Yin for becoming the 4th king-level general. Ding! Congratulations to player Li Mubai for becoming the 5th king-level general. Ding! Congratulations to player Luo Batian for becoming the 10th king-level general. Ding! Congratulations to player Divine Dog Husky for becoming the 1st demonic beast. Special reward. Innate attribute +3. When the last World announcement appeared, the entire World channel went silent. 3 seconds later, the silent World channel exploded again. F***CK. What Yi Chun said is true. This world, and our world, there are demonic beasts. F***CK. No wonder this husky spoke so strangely. I thought he was an idiot. F***CK. This husky can't be a husky, right? And now he's become a demonic beast? Definitely. F***CK. That's a demonic beast. Will be very strong? Just as the players were discussing, very discordant content appeared in the World Channel. Ow, ow. Husky King, you're invincible. Roar. Husky King, Wei Jin Huan Yu. Hiss. Husky King, unify the world. Ha ha. Tremble, tremble, trash. If you want to live, then send your human beauties over to me. By the way, where's that Yi Chun? Hurry up and come over here. Uncle Dopey wants to teach you what it means to be awesome. The World Channel, which had been silent for a short while, exploded again. F***CK. This damned world. Why are all the animals so F***king intelligent? Motherfucker, just looking at this husky pisses me off. Boss Yi-Chun, did you see that? Hurry up and come out. Kill this idiot. That's right, Boss Yi-Chun. You're a human. How can you let a demon do as it pleases? Kill that idiot husky. Castrate him. He must be castrated. Mother ***ker. You still want to snatch a woman? You really don't know how to spell the word death. Happy arrival in. When Yi Chun heard the series of world announcements, he was slightly taken aback. Then, the corners of his mouth curled up. Those who had also obtained game capsules and were lucky enough to watch Pangu split open the heavens finally began to appear. Yi Chun did not feel any pressure because a group of people had advanced to the innate stage and become king stage generals. He also did not feel the slightest threat because the divine dog, Dopey, had advanced to become a demon beast. To Yi Chun, it was inevitable that these people, or beasts, would make these world announcements at this moment. Although Yi Chun had changed some history because of his rebirth, there were still some histories that Yi Chun had not changed. For example, these people who had watched Pangu split open the heavens had also obtained cultivation techniques. Although it was not as good as the chaotic level cultivation techniques that Yi Chun had obtained after watching Pangu split open the heavens. But it was still much more advanced than the King Stage and Emperor Stage cultivation techniques in the newbie area. The cultivation techniques that were needed to increase their realm did not pose any obstacles to them. As long as they reached a certain level, they could still advance to the innate stage through cultivation even if they did not take any elixirs. And now, they had caught up to Yi Chun's current realm. However, it was still very difficult for them to surpass Yi Chun. At this moment, Only Yi Chun knew the secret of the elixirs. And the overbearing power of the 9 Revolutions' mysterious art was not comparable to those cultivation techniques that they had comprehended. What's more, Yi Chun had the god-level village creation token to build the Samsara territory, which was unique and heaven-defying. Therefore, Yi Chun's heart was unperturbed. They had advanced to the innate stage, and it was time. Thinking of this, Yi Chun waved his right hand, and an elixir appeared in Yi Chun's hand out of thin air. Glancing at it, Yi Chun directly put the elixir into his mouth, chewed it, and then swallowed it. A huge amount of energy erupted in an instant, and at this time, the 9 Revolutions' mysterious art began to devour frantically. Soon, the energy contained in the elixir was swallowed up. Yi Chun felt it for a moment, smiled slightly, and then summoned another elixir, chewed it, and swallowed it. 3. Until the 36th elixir was swallowed by Yi Chun. Yi Chun's eyes suddenly opened. At this moment, the system notification sounded. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun for advancing to the Emperor's stage. Hearing this, Yi Chun could not help but smile, and then his face stiffened. Damn, 36 elixirs to advance to the Emperor's stage. The 9 Revolutions' mysterious art was indeed abnormal, but I like it. Chapter 96. The 9 Revolutions' mysterious art was one of the most powerful cultivation methods in the ancient times. For Yi Chun, this was a super energy-devouring method. He had just reached the Xiantian realm, but he needed so many elixirs to increase his strength. If it was someone else, they would have already advanced to the Emperor level or even the Emperor level. But Yi Chun had just become an Emperor-level general. The reason was that after the 9 Revolutions' mysterious art devoured the 36 elixirs, it not only purified and improved Yi Chun's Xiantian true qi, but also strengthened Yi Chun's body. This was something that other cultivation methods did not have, and was also the most powerful part of the 9 Revolutions' mysterious art. In the future, Yi Chun's cultivation realm would become higher and higher, and Yi Chun's body would become extremely powerful. And this was also the reason why Yi Chun was pleasantly surprised. Just as Yi Chun's eyes lit up and he was pleasantly surprised by the 9 Revolutions' mysterious art, the world announcement sounded again. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun for being the first to advance to the Emperor level. Special reward. Innate attributes +3. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun for being the first to advance to the Emperor level. Special reward. Innate attributes +3. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun for being the first to advance to the Emperor level. Special reward. Innate attributes +3. Less than a second after the world announcement sounded, the world channel instantly boiled. F*CK. Did you see that? Yi Chun has advanced to the Emperor level. Mother F*Ker, this is simply a F*King pervert. It's really abnormal. Other people have just advanced to the king level, and Yi Chun has already become an Emperor-level general. Yi Chun boss is awesome. Yi Chun boss, I'm your loyal fan. Accept me as your follower. Haha, where's that stupid husky? Come out quickly, did you see that? Your grandpa Yi Chun has advanced to the Emperor level. That's right, dumb husky. Hurry up and come out. Kneel down and kowtow, or your grandpa Yi Chun will cut off your penis. I'm done with you guys. What's the use of Yi Chun advancing? Don't forget that the leaders of those forces have already logged off to look for Yi Chun. F*CK. I almost forgot about this, Sai. What a pity. It's useless to advance. Yi Chun couldn't see what others were saying on the World Channel because Yi Chun's World Channel was always closed. Even if he did, Yi Chun wouldn't care. There was no need for that. Happy arrival in. Yi Chun let out a long sigh. Without hesitation, he added the 3 innate attribute points that he had just obtained to his innate bone frame. His bone frame attribute instantly increased from 88 points to 91 points. An indescribable sense of comfort instantly spread from Yi Chun's body. Yi Chun raised his eyebrows and looked at his attribute panel. Yi Chun, 1st Viscount, General who pacifies the North. Title, Spear God. Characteristics. When using spear-type weapons, attack power x2, accuracy x2, comprehension plus 100, an emperor-level general. Level, 95 reputation, 6. 35 million, increases attractiveness to historical figures. Merit, 2. 39 million combat power, 93. Emperor General's combat power is 93, 94, 95. Emperor General's combat power is 96, 97, 98. Saint General's combat power is 99,100. Innate bone frame, 91 spirit, 100 fortune. Hidden skill, 9 revolutions mysterious art chaos. Divine knight, lightning manipulation, chaos skill, basic spear technique, divine equipment, godslayer, damaged, innate cardinal treasure, black cloud armor, mysterious, true, money. 1. 22 million purple coins. Items, bronze sparrow pavilion, blueprint SSS grade. Yang returning pill X1, 100 boxes of jewelry, general soul, emperor, X1, beast taming technique, divine. After looking at his own attributes, Yichen couldn't help but smile. Not bad, not bad. Yichen had just enjoyed himself for a while when he suddenly froze and looked at his inventory. Beast taming technique, divine. Beast taming technique, divine level. This was one of the 3 items that Yi Chun had obtained after killing the Wuhuan King General. At that time, Yi Chun didn't pay much attention to it after discovering that it was beast taming technique. This was because Yi Chun didn't need it at all. Even if it was divine, it was for the territory's beast tamer. Now that he saw it again, Yi Chun suddenly remembered a piece of news that he had heard in his previous life. On the sea, there were countless islands, and on some special islands, there were savage beasts. Savage beasts were huge, fierce, and aggressive. Their bodies were covered with thick scales that were difficult to injure and were extremely difficult to tame. Thinking of this, Yi Chun's eyes narrowed. Being difficult to tame did not mean that it was impossible to tame. To tame a savage beast, one must have divine beast taming technique. None of the Lord players in the past had such a talent. A divine beast tamer and a divine beast taming technique were indispensable. Damn it, luckily, he had just advanced and his mind was working much faster than usual. Otherwise, he might have really forgotten about this piece of news. Thinking of this, Yi Chun couldn't help but let out a long sigh. This was something that couldn't be helped. Yi Chun had heard this news from other people's conversations. In Yi Chun's memory, it was just an extremely small fragment, so it was difficult for Yi Chun to pay attention to it. But now, Yi Chun treated this as an important matter. Savage beasts were the best choice for heavy cavalry, so Yi Chun didn't want to miss it. Savage beasts. Yi Chun smiled slightly, then took out the spiritual herbs and continued to eat. Yi Chun didn't mind having more spiritual herbs. Moreover, according to the 9 revolutions mysterious art, Yi Chun needed several times more spiritual herbs than others in the same realm. To Yi Chun, the more spiritual herbs he had, the better. When the 42 spiritual herbs were eaten by Yi Chun got up and went to the window to look outside. Most of the players on the street had already dispersed, but there were still many people on the street talking about this and that. Yi Chun frowned, then changed his clothes and went to the window on the north side. He opened the window, and after seeing that there was no one, he jumped down. This was the first time Yi Chun came to Luoyang in this life. In his previous life, he came here often and walked around. Therefore, Yi Chun was very familiar with Luoyang's terrain. After twisting and turning, Yi Chun avoided the players on the street and arrived at the official residential area that countless players wanted to get close to, but couldn't. The people who lived here were all Han Dynasty officials, such as He Jin, Lu Ji, Kai Yong, Wang Yun, and so on. Players all wanted to get close to these historical figures and gain some benefits or even convenience. Unfortunately, no one could get close. As long as one got close, they would be chased away and even imprisoned for a month. As for the unlucky player who got in touch with great eunuch Zhang Rang and was killed by Zhang Rang, it was because he met Zhang Rang when he went out. He paid a lot of money to get in. However, he could only go to Zhang Rang's residence. If he went to someone else's residence, he would still be chased away or even captured. The reason was simple. He was a player and didn't have an official position. Yi Chun was the Great Han Empire's general who pacifies the North, a primary grade 3 military official. Yi Chun's arrival didn't raise the guards' vigilance at all. Instead, they all ran over to greet him respectfully. After Yi Chun greeted them one by one, he directly walked to Wang Yun's residence. Yi Chun's goal was simple. It was Jiao Chan, who was about to appear. And this was also the second thing Yi Chun had to do after coming to Luoyang. Chapter 97. Jiao Chan was a peerless beauty during the Three Kingdoms period. She was also one of the 4 great beauties in the history of Country Z. Her name had been passed down to this day. Whether it was for the Copper Sparrow Pavilion that was about to be built or for himself, Yi Chun did not want to miss out on such a peerless beauty. Jiao Chan's appearance was roughly this afternoon. Furthermore, she appeared in Luoyang as a refugee. This was something that was already widely known in Yi Chun's previous life. Yi Chun knew this, so he did not leave Luoyang after the auction. Along the way, the streets were filled with natives of this world. There were no signs of players. This was the residential area of the officials. Players could not enter and could only watch from afar, unless they obtained an official position in the Great Han Empire. Unfortunately, Yi Chun was the only one among the players who had obtained an official position. He was even a rank 3 general pacifying North. When he arrived outside Wang Yun's mansion, Yi Chun glanced at the tall courtyard door and walked straight to the tea house diagonally opposite. He ordered a pot of tea and sipped it while waiting. Time slowly ticked by. Yi Chun drank 3 pots of tea by the time the sun was about to set. At this moment, a middle-aged man dressed as a butler appeared in Yi Chun's line of sight, leading 10 dirty refugee girls covered in patches. Seeing this, Yi Chun's eyes widened. He's here. Thinking of this, Yi Chun stood up and walked towards the butler. Who are you? Why are you blocking my way? The middle-aged man was furious when he saw Yi Chun not only walking towards him, but also blocking his way. He was Wang Yun's butler, and this was the entrance of Wang Yun's mansion. Damn it, someone actually had the guts to block his way. The middle-aged man originally wanted to curse out loud, but when he saw Yi Chun's appearance and the strong aura of a superior being emanating from him, he immediately changed his words. Yojo's general pacifying North, Yi Chun. Yi Chun glanced at the butler and said calmly, "What?" The butler was shocked when he heard this. Although military officers weren't worth much, King primary rank 3 was a different story. The butler was shocked for a moment before he quickly bowed and said, "Wang Lin greets General Pacifying North. I didn't know your identity and offended you. Please forgive me." His attitude was very humble because he was worried that he would bring unnecessary trouble to Wang Yun. If that happened, he would be punished very miserably. Yi Chun did not even look at the butler as he looked at the 10 refugee girls. When Yi Chun saw the 6th refugee girl, his eyes suddenly lit up. "It's her, General." Housekeeper Wang Lin saw that Yi Chun ignored him and went to look at the refugee girl he had bought to be a maid in Wang Yun's house. He couldn't help but be stunned for a moment before calling out in confusion. At this moment, Yi Chun looked at Wang Lin and asked, "Can I ask you for a person, Wang Lin?" The butler was stunned for a moment before he asked, "General, do you want the refugee girl behind me?" "That is correct." Yi Chun took out a purple coin and threw it at Wang Lin. Wang Lin saw a flash of purple light and subconsciously caught it. The next second, Wang Lin was dumbfounded. Hiss! Wang Lin suddenly sucked in a breath of cold air. This was because Yi Chun was simply too generous. 1 purple gold coin was equivalent to 10,000 gold coins. He only spent 10 pieces of silver to buy these refugee girls. From his point of view, Yi Chun was trying to be a sucker. Damn, they're just refugee girls. Is there need to spend so much money? Even if they know each other, even if they like each other, there's no need to spend so much money. Of course, although Wang Lin thought this, he wouldn't say it out loud. He wasn't willing to do something as stupid as pushing the money away. In fact, Yi Chun did this because a certain player in his previous life had come up with a strategy. According to that player, if you want to change the story, you can try to bribe an NPC, but the amount can't be less than 1,000 gold. The higher the amount, the easier it is to succeed. And Yi Chan had his eyes on Diao Chan. Without Diao Chan, there would be a gap in the story. Naturally, it was to change the course of history. Hence, Yi Chan immediately threw out a purple coin. If it wasn't enough, Yi Chan would continue to throw money at Wang Lin. Many thanks, General. Many thanks, General. Wang Lin excitedly bowed to express his thanks. He then said, "Whoever the General fancies, that's her choice. General, these are the slave contracts." After Wang Lin finished speaking, he handed over 10 slave contracts to Yi Chan. Yi Chan casually took the contracts and flipped through them. He only stopped when he saw a name on the 6th page. Ren Hongchang, female, 16 years old. Hometown, Lintao. That's right. Diao Chan's previous name was Ren Hongchang. Thinking about this, Yi Chan walked toward the 6th refugee girl. General, the girl called out nervously. Her voice was mellow and ethereal like the sound of nature. Yi Chan couldn't help but be taken aback when he heard it. After returning to his senses, Yi Chan looked at the girl and asked with a smile, "Are you Ren Hongchang?" Yes, General," Ren Hongchang replied softly. Upon hearing the affirmative answer, Yi Chan couldn't help but smile. Then, he let out a long breath and said, "Follow me." Ren Hongchang was slightly taken aback before replying softly, "Yes, General." At this moment, Ren Hongchang had yet to become the Diao Chan in history because she had yet to be adopted by Wang Yun as his goddaughter. Yi Chan was directly intercepting her. Otherwise, if Ren Hongchang was adopted by Wang Yun as his goddaughter and became Diao Chan, the difficulty of obtaining Diao Chan would increase exponentially. Although Yi Chan wasn't afraid of difficulties, why would he seek trouble if he could resolve it easily? Yi Chan smiled faintly. Then, he led Ren Hongchang to Luoyang's transportation formation. At this moment, a series of reprimands suddenly appeared on the World Channel. "Yi Chan, you cowardly tortoise. You actually left Luoyang without a word. Come back if you have the guts. Yi Chan, I'm warning you, you better come back quickly and obediently hand over the secrets in the game. Hand over Jianwei, Guijia, and Samsara Town. Otherwise, once I confirm Samsara Town's location, I'll flatten it. Yi Chan, it's not too late for regrets." A series of content targeting Yi Chan suddenly appeared on the World Channel, instantly attracting the attention of other players. Holy **T. What's going on? Why can't I understand? Look at their signatures. They're the leaders of various factions. It's obvious that they haven't found Yi Chan. They're here to threaten Yi Chan. Holy **T. It can't be, right? Could Yi Chan be in some remote corner? Or is he in some safe city with few people? I think he should be in a safe city with few people. Don't forget, Yi Chan knows a lot of the game's secrets. It's not strange for him to know about safe cities with few people or even no people in real life. Holy **T. This is going to be a good show. Holy **T. No wonder Yi Chan dares to go against the leaders of those factions. The World Channel was bustling with activity, but Yi Chan didn't know about it. At this moment, Yi Chan had already brought Ren Hongchang to Luoyang's teleportation array. However, the moment Yi Chan stepped onto the teleportation array, a system notification sounded. Ding! Ren Hongchang is a key player in the Three Kingdoms Novice Zone. Diao Chan, must player Yi Chan bring Ren Hongchang away? Chapter 98. When Yi Chan heard the system notification, his expression changed. Damn, I was wondering why it went so smoothly. So it was waiting here. I can't leave Luoyang. Could it be a regional mission? Oh, it's a special mission. General, Ren Hongchang saw that Yi Chan's expression wasn't right, so he couldn't help but call out softly. When Yi Chan heard Ren Hongchang's question, he came back to his senses and said, "Nothing." After Yi Chan finished speaking, he chose without hesitation. Yes, Yi Chan couldn't give up Diao Chan. This had nothing to do with relationships, love, or love. This was related to whether the special attributes of the Copper Sparrow Pavilion could appear or not. Copper Sparrow Pavilion, unique grade SS's basic attributes. Territory Providence permanently increased by 10%. Territory Fortune plus 100, Stability plus 10, prosperity plus 10. Special attributes. 1. Singing and dancing for peace. Greatly increase the popularity of the people. Greatly increase the spawn rate of refugees. Once a month. Effective for 3 days. Requires 4 beauties. 2. Stop the war. Quell the war. Lasts for 3 days. All attacks are ineffective. Once a month. Requires 8 beauties. 3. War song. Greatly increase the strength of all soldiers in the territory. Once a month. Requires 16 beauties. 4. Resurrection. Go against the heavens and seize life. Resurrect the dead. Once a month. Requires 81 beauties. Note: ordinary women are ineffective. The more beauties there are, the stronger the effect. In the beginner's area, the Copper Sparrow Pavilion's buff to the territory was already very strong. If the entire country ascended and entered the primordial world, the Copper Sparrow Pavilion would be even more useful to the territory. After all, the primordial world was too dangerous. There were many strong existences there. If the Copper Sparrow Pavilion could use all its attributes, once his subordinates died in battle, they could be resurrected. Sending troops to battle could also increase the strength of the territory. When enemies invaded, they could also ignore the attacks. If he wanted to use the Copper Sparrow Pavilion's ability, he needed beauties. And there weren't many beauties that could be recognized by Pangu. Therefore, Yi Chun couldn't give up on Diao Chan, nor could he give up on any beauties that could be recognized by Pangu. Yi Chun didn't think too much about what would happen after he snatched or found those beauties. Just as Yi Chun selected yes, the world announcement sounded. Ding! Player Yi Chun is determined to change the historical storyline, triggering a special quest. Diao Chan's ownership is open to all players. For successfully preventing player Yi Chun from taking away Diao Chan, all participating players will receive a reward of 10,000 gold coins. There will be no penalty for death. Whoever kills player Yi Chun will be rewarded with Yang Recovery Pill X1, King Level Martial Arts X1, and Innate Attribute Points X1. The moment the world announcement sounded, the entire world fell silent. 3 seconds later, the world channel exploded. F*CK. F*CK. Is Yi Chun trying to steal Diao Chan? F*CK. No wonder he came to Luoyang. I thought he was only here to become an official. F*CK. He still wants to snatch Diao Chan? Is there any justice in this world? F*CK. Give me back Diao Chan. Diao Chan is mine. Yi Chun, it's not too late for you to regret it. As long as you hand over Samsara Town, Dianwei, and Guojia, I can guarantee your safety. Bullshit. What good plan? Handing over this and that and guaranteeing Yi Chun's safety? Doesn't that mean we have to hand over Diao Chan in the end? That's right. You can't be so shameless. F*CK. Who can tell me where Yi Chun is? 10,000 gold coins. F*CK. I won't even lose a level if I die. What's there to be afraid of? Ha ha ha. The chance to make money is here. The world channel was in a frenzy. Yi Chun, who was standing in front of the teleportation circle, narrowed his eyes. I see, Ding. Congratulations to player Yi Chun for triggering the special quest, Diao Chan's ownership. You have successfully returned to Samsara Town. Quest completed. Reward: Innate Attribute Points X2, Yang Restoration Pill X2, Lottery X1. Rin Hongchang seal has been removed and it recognizes you as its owner. Failure: random deduction of 5 innate attribute points. Rin Hongchang dies. Yi Chun took a deep breath and exhaled deeply. He then looked at the teleportation circle. As expected, the teleportation function from Luoyang to other places had been turned off. Kill my way out of Luoyang. Thinking of this, Yi Chun's eyes flashed with a cold light. He then looked at Rin Hongchang and said, "Follow me." "Yes, General." Rin Hongchang realized that something was wrong, but he still nodded and replied. Yi Chun let out a long breath and then left the teleportation circle with Rin Hongchang. The teleportation circle Yi Chun was in was located in the official's residential area. No players could reach it yet. Otherwise, Yi Chun would immediately enter battle mode. After taking a detour, Yi Chun came to the backyard of the inn where the war horse was stored. He led the war horse to an alley. Yi Chun got on the horse and reached out to pull Ren Hongchang onto the horse. "Hold on to me tightly," Yi Chun said without turning his head. After saying that, he squeezed the horse's belly with his legs. Nay, the war horse instantly snorted and then began to gallop. If it was any other time, Yi Chun would naturally not ride a horse in Luoyang. However, it was fine now. Once the special quest was triggered, the natives of Luoyang would return home. Even those who were doing business would stop doing business. At this moment, all the people who appeared in Luoyang were players without exception. And this was the reason why Yi Chun galloped his horse. Luoyang, on the street leading to the city gate. A galloping war horse suddenly appeared. It ignored the players who were still wandering on the street and charged straight past them. There were many players on the street, and all of them were looking for Yi Chun. The sudden appearance of a war horse, and a galloping war horse at that, frightened many people when it appeared. All of them quickly hid on both sides of the street. F***CK. Are you courting death? So what if you have a war horse? So what if you have armor? F***CK. A player who was almost hit by the war horse cursed angrily in the direction of the war horse. F***CK. They're really all kinds of people. Aren't they afraid of being caught? They actually dare to ride a horse in Luoyang and even gallop wildly. That should be a historical general, right? Look at the armor he's wearing. It doesn't look like ordinary equipment. Strange, why is there a beggar behind him? Is that a beggar? Why do I feel that it's a woman? Why do I feel that something is wrong? F***CK, those NPCs are gone. How did this person come out? At this moment, an ecstatic roar sounded. F***CK, that's Yi Chun. Chapter 99. F***CK. So that guy on the horse is Yi Chun. Someone recognized Yi Chun. F***CK. So that's Yi Chun. Another person recognized Yi Chun. Aha! I've finally seen Yi Chun. More and more players recognized Yi Chun. A few seconds later, countless players opened their mouths and roared. Quick! Stop Yi Chun! That guy on the horse is Yi Chun. Crazy shouts could be heard on the streets of Luoyang. It was filled with strong desire, hope, and madness. Those who kill Yi Chun will be rewarded with 1 Yang recovery pill, 1 Imperial level cultivation technique, and 1 innate attribute point. The Yang recovery pill and innate attribute point were not very exciting for players. However, this Imperial level cultivation technique was different. No one was willing to give it up. Just this morning, an Imperial level cultivation technique was sold for a sky-high price of 10 billion credits. How many people would ignore such a huge amount of wealth? And now, Yi Chun had triggered a special mission. As long as they killed Yi Chun, they would be able to obtain the Imperial level cultivation technique. Even if this Imperial level cultivation technique did not have the word true in it, it was still very valuable. It could even help players advance to the innate stage. Yi Chun was powerful, but Yi Chun was only one person. Moreover, this was a game world. As long as they participated in this mission, they would be rewarded with 10,000 credits. Moreover, there was no penalty for death. How could this not cause a commotion among the players? How could it not cause a frenzy among the players? At this moment, all the players in the Three Kingdoms beginners area were looking for Yi Chun. The special mission restricted Yi Chun from using the teleportation portal, but it did not restrict other players. The teleportation portal in Luoyang had never stopped shining since the special mission started. The number of players in Luoyang had increased from a few million to over 10 million. Moreover, this number was still increasing crazily. Their target was Yi Chun. At this moment, Yi Chun appeared. F***CK. Yi Chun, stop right there. Get down from your horse and accept your death. A loud roar came from in front of Yi Chun. Following this loud roar, countless players rushed toward Yi Chun in a frenzy. Their eyes were filled with greed and greed. Their faces were filled with lust and longing. Yi Chun narrowed his eyes, and a violent, murderous aura instantly soared to the sky. Boom! A domineering, wild aura erupted at this moment. At this moment, the gamers who were charging towards Yi Chun involuntarily stopped in their tracks. They were stunned by Yi Chen's tyrannical and overbearing aura, as well as his extremely dense and violent killing intent. The war horses were still galloping through the streets of Luoyang. It was crowded in front of him, but behind him there was no end. Aside from Yi Chen's side, the entire streets of Luoyang were filled with people. There was no end in sight. At this moment, Yi Chun waved his right hand, and the black and thick Godslayer instantly appeared in Yi Chen's right hand. Those who block me die. After a loud roar, Yi Chun continued to gallop forward without stopping. At this moment, the God-slaying spear was mercilessly swung forward. Buzz! The tip of the God-slayer's spear trembled. Woo! A black ray of light instantly flew out from the God-slayer's spear tip, and then mercilessly tore through the air. In the blink of an eye, the black ray of light turned into a 10-meter-long air blade, slashing toward the players in front of him. Crackle, crackle, crackle. A series of sounds of cloth being torn rang out when the air blade came into contact with the players. Woo, woo, woo. Dozens of human heads flew into the sky with blank expressions on their faces. Plop, plop, plop. The corpses that had been cut in half fell to the ground. PSSSD, PSSSD, PSSSD. Fresh blood began to spurt out, dyeing the sky red and then the earth red. In an instant, over 100 of the crazy players were killed by Yi Chun, and the path in front of him was instantly cleared. The warhorse was still galloping forward. The players who originally wanted to charge forward were all stunned without exception. Yi Chen's tyrannical attack was instantly imprinted in the minds of all the players. Powerful, tyrannical, savage, the players all had this feeling in their hearts at the same time. Damn, what's going on? How can Yi Chen kill so many people in one go? A person swallowed his saliva and shouted in shock. Yeah, damn. If it's like this, how can we complete the quest? We can't even get close. A person said with a conflicted expression. This is the innate realm. Yes, it must be. This is the innate realm. A person suddenly thought of something and shouted excitedly. Doesn't that mean, when I reach the innate realm, I can also be like Yi Chun? A person heard this and said with burning eyes. The warhorse was still galloping forward. Kill him. Kill Yi Chun. Kill him, and we can get the king-level cultivation technique. Kill him, and we can also reach the innate realm. A loud roar suddenly sounded from the crowd. This roar was like a fuse that ignited the intense greed and desire in the players' hearts. It was so intense that it was suffocating. Hua! The players charged toward Yi Chen again. Chapter 100. Money moved people's hearts. Benefits blinded people's eyes. The desire for king-level cultivation techniques and witnessing the power of the innate realm stimulated the players. In addition, some people deliberately shouted, further stimulating the players. Everyone wanted to kill Yi Chun and obtain the king-level cultivation technique that could allow one to reach the heavens in a single step. The players rushed madly towards Yi Chun, one after another. Yi Chun looked at the endless number of players in front of him. Looking at their craziness, he squinted his eyes. He held the God-slayer tightly in his right hand and waved it mercilessly again. The air blade appeared again. Severed limbs and heads flew into the air again. The two halves of the corpse fell to the ground with a plop, plop sound. Yi Chen's path was empty again. The warhorse galloped. Stepping on the broken corpses, blood splattered everywhere. Blood dyed the horse's hooves and the players' bodies red. The strong smell of blood slowly appeared. It became thicker and stronger. Yi Chen's eyes were cold. His gaze was like a knife. He waved the God-slayer in his right hand again and again. The innate chi in his body was released again and again. The air blade constantly tore through the air and cleared all the players in contact with it. Domineering, ruthless, cold-blooded. The wild and wild aura that killed everything once again shocked the players. They began to hesitate. They began to doubt whether they could succeed. Don't be afraid. Dying is not real death. This is a game. Kill him. Whoever can kill him will obtain the king-level cultivation technique. Don't be afraid. He can't maintain this state forever. Go. Don't let him leave Luoyang. Otherwise, where can we catch him? Go. Go quickly. Stop Yichun. As long as we stop Yichun, we will have a chance to kill him. King-level cultivation technique. Reach the heavens in a single step. Several loud roars sounded from the crowd again. Someone was making a fuss and provoking others. These people wanted others to go forward and die. Although it was childish, the effect was surprisingly good. Many of the players who had been hesitating were reignited once again after hearing the roar. Damn it! The bold ones will be stuffed to death, while the timid ones will starve to death. Charge! Yes. No matter how powerful Yichun is, so what? This is a game. There's no punishment for dying, so what's there to be afraid of? Charge! Kill Yichun. Get Yaochan. The players went berserk again as they charged fearlessly at Yichun. Da-da-da-da-da-da. The warhorse was still galloping without slowing down. Yichun's originally cold gaze became even colder at this moment. Yichun had been reborn, so he was well aware of the greed and greed of the players. And now, the greed and greed of the gamers was once again displayed in front of Yichun. Although this was a game, and fighting and killing in the game was normal. However, this game wasn't simple. It involved reality. The stronger the game, the stronger the reality. And this further magnified the greed and greed of human nature. No one didn't want to be strong. No one didn't want to be able to crush everything in the real world. And now, there was no punishment for dying, which further stimulated all the players. Yichun didn't hate anyone because there was no need. For Yichun, these people in front of him were all enemies. Yichun would only choose one way to deal with his enemies. Kill. Only kill. Whether it was in the game world or the real world, Yichun would choose this way without hesitation. Because Yichun knew that after the meteor fell, human nature was despicable, dirty, and dirty. What he had seen and heard in his previous life was still vivid in his mind. In the real world, if people found out that Yichun had a diamond-level game capsule, a diamond-level village creation token, and even built the reincarnation village, as well as the spirit spring and the spirit gathering formation disk in his territory, then Yichun would be the same as now. He would be attacked in the real world, and many people would attack him. Yichun knew this, understood it, and saw through it. Therefore, Yichun's choice was already decided the moment he was reborn, and he would never change it. No matter who it was, as long as it was an enemy, there was only one word: kill. Kill! Yichun roared, and his right hand instantly swung the God Slayer. The tip of the spear trembled. The air blade tore through the air. Whoosh, whoosh, heads and severed limbs flew into the sky. Da-da-da-da-da. The warhorse galloped. On the street to the south gate of Luoyang, the players blocking Yichun were cleared out by Yichun one by one. Yichun urged his horse to get closer to the south gate. When the Godslayer was swung out for the 200th time, Luoyang's huge south gate appeared in front of Yichun's eyes. 1 kilometer. Luoyang's south gate was still 1 kilometer away from Yichun. On this road, the players were already packed to the point that they were squeezing against each other. Looking at the countless players with shining eyes, who were constantly rushing towards him, Yichun's face did not change at all. At this moment, Yichun's innate chi had already been used up. He could no longer use his innate chi to kill the enemies one by one. But even so, Yichun still did not change his expression. There was no trace of panic or fear on Yichun's face. Da-da-da-da-da. The warhorse was still galloping. A strong wind blew past, carrying with it the smell of blood. The setting sun was like blood, reflecting Yichun's resolute and cold face. Behind Yichun, the long street was covered with cut-up corpses. On the ground, blood began to gather and flow slowly. Looking at the players getting closer and closer, Yichun's eyes suddenly widened, and then he roared, "Kill!" Chapter 101. The Godslayer in Yi Chen's right hand stabbed towards the oncoming players without hesitation. It was simple, violent, and without any fancy moves. The moment it came into contact with the first player, the tip of the spear turned into countless afterimages and shot out. A series of sound could be heard. One by one, the players were pierced through and sent flying by the galloping warhorses. However, there were too many players and they were too densely packed together. The galloping warhorses were finally blocked. At this moment, a roar of ecstasy could be heard. Quick! Yi Chen has no more big moves. The warhorses also stopped. Go! Kill him! Kill him! This roar undoubtedly gave all the players a shot of adrenaline. Ha, mine! The Imperial level skill manual is mine. Yi Chen die. Ah, who told you to act cool? Keep acting cool. Aren't you good at fighting? Continue with your big moves. The players laughed at Yi Chen crazily and unscrupulously. From their point of view, Yi Chen, who had lost his innate chi and couldn't use his big moves, was doomed. Yi Chen would eventually become a stepping stone for one of them. And the players who were close to Yi Chen all thought that they would become that person. Yi Chen narrowed his eyes and continued to dance with the Godslayer. Simple and violent moves were used again and again. After every shot, at least 3 to 5 people, and at most a dozen people, were instantly killed. Clop, clop, the warhorse moved forward step by step. Yi Chen's Godslayer kept reaping the lives of players one after another. As time passed, the players who surrounded Yi Chen gradually realized. Yi Chen, who had lost his innate chi, was equally terrifying. Anyone who came within 2 meters of Yi Chen was killed by the Godslayer without exception. Some were even sent flying by Yi Chen. Meanwhile, Yi Chen had already covered 100 meters of the 1,000-meter distance. Not only was he unharmed, but he had also killed every player that tried to approach him. It hadn't been long since Yi Chen had killed several thousand players, yet Yi Chen didn't seem tired at all. At this moment, someone exclaimed, F***CK. Yi Chen, there's something wrong with Yi Chen's gun. His exclamation immediately attracted the attention of many players. At this moment, Yi Chen swung his spear, instantly killing 5 players. As for the 5 players who had raised their weapons to block Yi Chen's attack, not only did their weapons instantly turn to dust, even their armor was no exception. All of them turned into powder. At this moment, the sound of people sucking in a breath of cold air could be heard. Godslayer, damaged innate cardinal treasure. Damaged due to Pangu's creation of the heavens. Fallen into the mortal world. Conditions for repair are unknown. Special characteristics. 1. Shatter. Shatter weapons lower than the Godslayer. The lower the grade, the higher the chance. After use, the soul is bound. Cannot be dropped, traded, or stolen. None of the equipment that the players were using could compare to Yi Chen's Godslayer. Shattering was the inevitable result. The previous battle was too intense, and Yi Chen's attack speed was too fast. No one noticed the abnormality. Those who did notice were instantly killed. They wanted to shout, but they were already dead. If they wanted to revive, under normal circumstances, they could be revived immediately. But now, they were in the middle of a special mission. If they wanted to revive, they would have to wait at least an hour. Those players who were queuing at the back of the line couldn't see the specific situation in front of them. But now, countless players were terrified by Yi Chen's massacre and started to shrink back. Then, some people realized that there was something wrong with Yi Chen's Godslayer. But when they confirmed that there was something wrong with the Godslayer, they were all stunned. Mother of asterisk Kerr, the equipment on his body would shatter upon contact with the God-slaying spear. That was the equipment that they spent so much money to buy, and it shattered just like that. Heartache and worry began to appear in the hearts of more and more players. Damn, it wasn't easy to save money to buy a weapon and a set of armor. Was it easy for me? Damn, with that one spear strike, my weapon shattered, my armor shattered. How much money would I lose? The players with poor equipment didn't feel too much. After all, there was a compensation of 10,000 gold. However, the players with good equipment felt like crying. Clop, clop. The warhorse slowly moved forward. Wah! The players who wanted to attack Yi Chun took the initiative to retreat. Damn, can they not retreat? If they didn't retreat, getting killed was a small matter, but all their equipment would be destroyed. They didn't think that Yi Chun would be kind enough to leave their equipment behind. Damn, go. Don't be afraid. Yi Chun is out of energy. A loud roar came from the crowd. Yeah, let's go. Kill Yi Chun. It's a king-level cultivation technique. Don't wait, let's go. Another person began to shout. Go my ass. Go. Damn it, why don't you go? A furious roar came from the mouth of the player at the front. Damn it, Yi Chun's spear can shatter equipment. If you want to go, go. They really didn't dare to go. It would be best if they could kill Yi Chun. But if they failed, the loss would be too great. They were fearless before because they weren't afraid of losses. The world announcement also said that there would be no punishment for death. But in reality, the system didn't punish them, but Yi Chun did. Damn it, the punishment was to destroy their equipment. Damn it, he can't put his equipment back. He's in combat mode. At this moment, a cry of surprise suddenly sounded. Damn it, get out of the way. Whoever wants to go can go. The player at the front roared fiercely. As he roared, he turned around and tried to squeeze into the crowd. As for the reward, forget it. At least for now, he couldn't fight Yi Chun head-on. If there was an idiot who wanted to fight Yi Chun head-on, he could give it a try and see if there was a chance. However, his idea was good, but reality was very cruel. Not only did he not manage to squeeze into the crowd, but he was also pushed out by the crowd. Whoosh! There was a sound. This player suddenly realized that his vision was not right. He was flying higher and higher. The people around him also flew up into the air. Then, he turned his head and saw the ground. He saw the headless corpse and the equipment that had turned into powder on the headless corpse. At that moment, his eyes suddenly widened. That's my F***king equipment shattered, clatter, clatter, clatter. Yi Chun rode on his warhorse and kept moving forward. The players blocking Yi Chun in front kept trying to retreat. They were afraid that their equipment would be shattered by Yi Chun's Godslayer. However, no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't retreat. There were too many people. There were so many that they couldn't move back. Yi Chun's expression didn't change. He wasn't shocked. He wasn't angry. He was only cold. He swung his spear again and again, mercilessly killing the players who were starting to retreat. No matter who it was, the players blocking in front were all Yi Chun's targets. Even if they were starting to be afraid. Even if they were starting to retreat. At this moment, the large group of players behind Yi Chun had caught up. There were so many of them that there was no end to them. However, the players at the front were still hanging behind Yi Chun. None of them went forward. This was because they heard the cries of surprise from the players blocking in front of Yi Chun. What's more, he saw the street full of naked corpses. They were very smart. Since someone was blocking Yi Chun, they didn't need to go forward. They just needed to wait patiently. If they went forward and their equipment was shattered, it wouldn't be worth it. They planned to wait for Yi Chun to be exhausted before attacking Yi Chun. However, they who were at the back neglected one thing. Yi Chun didn't come to Luoyang by himself. Chapter 102. Clip-clop, clip-clop. The warhorse slowly trotted forward. The Godslayer in Yi Chun's right hand shot out again and again, reaping the lives of more and more players. Along with the players' corpses floating in the air, the equipment on their bodies floated in the air. The setting sun was like blood. Every shot was soul-stealing. Every shot was shattered. Yi Chun, who stood in the setting sun, was neither sad nor happy. He was neither shocked nor angry. There was only cold, killing intent in his eyes. He mercilessly reaped the lives of more and more players. Blood flowed. The greedy and despicable players began to retreat and regret. Boss Yi Chun, I was wrong. Let me go. I shouldn't have been blinded by greed. Let me go. Boss Yi Chun, I really didn't do it on purpose. I just came to see you. Really. Believe me. I was pushed here by them. Boss Yi Chun, I only came to Luoyang to play. Don't kill me. One explanation after another came from the players in front of Yi Chun. Yi Chun naturally heard what they said and understood what they meant. They were afraid, cowardly, and regretful. But what did that have to do with me? Yi Chun narrowed his eyes. He swung the Godslayer again without stopping. Blood splattered everywhere. Corpses fell to the ground in droves. No one could withstand the might of the Godslayer. No one could get within 2 meters of Yi-chan. Yi-chan, are you really going to be so ruthless? An angry roar suddenly sounded. I'm going to be ruthless? Yi-chan was slightly taken aback. Then he laughed. As he laughed, it turned into a maniacal laughter. Yi-chan was laughing at the greed and despicableness of human nature. These retreating players had equipment worth more than 10,000 gold. However, they were only given 10,000 gold for participating in a special mission. The losses outweighed the gains. That was what everyone was thinking at that moment. So they retreated. They regretted. They begged for mercy. Some even wanted to put on a show to scare Yi-chan. Would Yi-chan be afraid? Of course not. However, Yi-chan couldn't stay here any longer. He had to leave Luoyang as soon as possible and meet up with Dian Wei and the Samsara Legion. Yi-chan was very certain that many factions had already begun taking action. The players in Luoyang were only individual players. They had no territory and no army. To Yi-chan, this kind of individual player wasn't important at all. Just Yi-chan alone could kill these people until they cried for their fathers and mothers. Not to mention, Yi-chan still had an army. He had the Samsara Legion and a top-notch historical general, Dian Wei. Those forces that had yet to appear were the biggest obstacles to this special mission. After laughing for a while, Yi-chan looked at the gamers in front of him and said, "Let's go. Don't say I didn't give you a chance. 3 minutes. I'll only give you 3 minutes. Make a decision as soon as possible." Yi-chan was willing to waste 3 minutes just so that these players would know the difficulty and retreat. The time spent killing their way out was far more than 3 minutes. After Yi-chan finished speaking, he lifted the Godslayer and looked expressionlessly at the players in front of him. As for the endless stream of players behind him, Yi-chan didn't even look at them because they were still very far away from Yi-chan. Phew, phew, the players in front of Yi-chan heaved a sigh of relief. They finally didn't have to worry about suffering heavy losses, at least for the time being. However, the players behind them were hesitant because Yi-chan was still some distance away from them. The players behind didn't care. In their opinion, they could do whatever they wanted. After all, if they ran, they would definitely be able to escape. At this moment, a thunderous roar came from the south gate of Luoyang. Rumble, thunder. A person looked up curiously. There were no clouds in the sky. I think I've heard this sound somewhere before. A person was slightly taken aback as he looked behind him. In the next second, his eyes suddenly shrank, and then he shouted in surprise, "You're too weak." Cavalry. It's cavalry. They're charging. How dare they charge at Luoyang? Yi-chan naturally heard the sound of the cavalry charging. Riding on his warhorse, Yi-chan saw further. When Yi-chan looked outside the south gate of Luoyang, he was stunned. Dian Wei, why is he here? Could it be Guojia's orders? Yes, it must be Guojia's orders. I didn't tell Dian Wei about this. How did he know that Luoyang's garrison wouldn't attack anyone who offended him during the special mission? After thinking for a while, Yi-chan couldn't figure it out. He couldn't help but smile. It was indeed a huge gain to have Guojia as a subordinate. My lord, Dian Wei is here. A deafening roar suddenly echoed through the south gate of Luoyang and into the ears of countless players. Gosh, Dian Wei. That ugly-looking person is Dian Wei. Gosh, can someone tell me? Why does Yi-chan have cavalry? King want to know why those cavalrymen are better dressed than me. Get lost. Can't you see that Boss Yi-chan's subordinates are here? A gamer in front of Yi-chan roared angrily. What? The gamers in front of Yi-chan scattered to the sides of the street. Nobody dared to continue blocking the front. Even the nonchalant gamers didn't dare to do so. Dian Wei led the Samsara Legion and charged over. If they continued blocking the front, there was only one outcome. They would be killed mercilessly. At this moment, the players behind Yi-chan were all dumbfounded. Their faces were filled with shock and helplessness. They were waiting for Yi-chan to be exhausted. Now, Yi-chan's subordinates were here. It was a freaking cavalry led by Dian Wei, a top-tier historical general. Chapter 103. Rumble. The war horses charged forward, kicking up a cloud of dust as they stomped on the ground. Dianwei took the lead, and the Samsara Legion members behind him raised their spears. Their murderous aura soared to the sky. Dianwei hated the players who blocked his lord Yi Chen's path. He hated the fact that he couldn't appear by Yi Chen's side to protect his lord Yi Chen. The Samsara Legion hated the players who dared to target their lord Yi Chen. Their murderous aura was released without any restraint. They wanted to kill all the players, even those who wanted to harm their lord Yi Chen. Yi Chen looked at the approaching Samsara Legion, and he couldn't help but feel a warmth in his heart. These are my soldiers. These are my generals. No one knew better than Yi Chen that the natives of this world were actually living people with flesh, blood, and souls. Therefore, Yi Chen was very happy and gratified. The war horses galloped, and the murderous aura started to gather above the Samsara Legion. After a few minutes, an earth-shattering tiger roar suddenly sounded from the sky. Roar! Damn! What did I just hear? A tiger's roar? What's going on? I heard it too. Damn! How big must the tiger be to make such a roar? Quick, look at the sky. What's that? It's appearing and disappearing. Damn! Are those the clouds in the game? And they're constantly changing their shape? The players were shocked by the abnormality in the sky, and they started discussing among themselves. Yi Chen also heard the tiger's roar. After a slight pause, he looked up at the sky. Over there, a ball of chi was constantly changing its shape. Could it be the innate battle formation? How could it be? Yi Chen was in disbelief. But the constantly changing cloud of air in the sky clearly told Yi Chen that all of this was real. Battle formations usually came from the commander, but there was also a type of battle formation that didn't belong to the commander. That was the innate battle formation. Innate battle formations required fortuitous encounters and comprehension. Only then would they have a chance of appearing. In Yi Chen's previous life, if he had not seen an army that used the connate battle formation by chance after entering the Primordial Age, he would have died. At this moment, he was just as confused as everyone else. And now, the Samsara Legion had actually encountered an opportunity to comprehend the innate battle formation in the Three Kingdoms Novice Zone. This gave Yi Chen a huge surprise. It was really an innate battle formation. Yi Chen's eyes suddenly opened wide. He looked at the faintly discernible mass of air in the sky with a face full of ecstasy. That ball of air was the sign that the innate battle formation was about to take shape. What could it be? Yi Chen stared at the sky, motionless. Why? I suddenly have a feeling that it's very dangerous. A player looked at the approaching Samsara Legion and gulped down a mouthful of saliva before speaking. I have the same feeling too. F***, what's going on? This is clearly a game. Why am I trembling uncontrollably? F***, me too. F***, what's going on? It's not like if we die this time, we'll really die. F***. It can't be. I thought I was the only one who had this feeling. I thought it was an illusion. Don't tell me. We'll really die after being killed by those cavalrymen? The players discussed in a panic. They all felt that something was not right. It was clearly a game, but it really made them feel like they were dying. That feeling was not like dying in the game, but in real life. They felt that if they died this time, they would really die. It was ridiculous and nonsensical, but they could not get rid of that feeling no matter how hard they tried. Not only could they not get rid of it, but it was also growing in their hearts. F***, I don't care anymore. I'm going offline to hide for a while. F***, this is strange. Someone wanted to go offline after saying that. However, in the next second, his expression changed. I can't go offline. Why? Why can't I go offline? What the hell is the innate battle formation? Why is it targeting me? As soon as he finished speaking, another player tried to go offline. Then, his expression changed with a swoosh. I'm also being targeted by the innate battle formation. F***. I want to go offline. I want to go offline. Me too. F***. What the hell is this innate battle formation? F***. Can someone tell me what the innate battle formation is? Why can't I go offline? More and more players try to go offline, but without exception, they were all targeted by the innate battle formation and could not go offline. No, don't tell me. Don't tell me it's because of those cavalrymen. A player suddenly thought of something and looked at the approaching Samsara Legion in horror. Then, he said in a trembling voice. At this moment, the earth-shattering roar of a tiger sounded again. Roar! In the sky, the ball of air that appeared and disappeared suddenly stopped hiding. Not only did it stop hiding, but it also started to expand and expand. A few seconds later, a gigantic white tiger appeared in the sky. Although it was still a little illusory, one could see its appearance at a glance. Yi Chun, who had been staring at the sky, saw the white tiger, and his eyes lit up. It was the innate battle formation, one of the four symbols, the white tiger battle formation. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun, Samsara Legion, for comprehending the innate battle formation, the white tiger battle formation. Chapter 104. What? What is that? Why did the cloud turn into a tiger? Someone exclaimed. F***CK. Why does that tiger give me a terrifying feeling? Why do I feel like I'm suffocating? I also have this feeling. It's like I'm going to die. Why? Isn't this a game? I can't move. I can't move. F***CK. What's happening? Someone help me. I can't move either. F***CK, move for me. The players noticed the abnormality in the sky. They saw the white tiger condensed from murderous aura and felt the ruthless, murderous aura of the white tiger. They even felt a more realistic sense of death. It was ridiculous and unbelievable. This was a game. It was impossible to really die. However, that was the reality. At this moment, when the white tiger appeared, the players felt a stronger sense of death than before. Rumble. The war horses galloped and the earth shook. At this moment, the white tiger condensed in the sky suddenly descended and enveloped the entire Samsara Legion and Dianwei. In the next second, the Samsara Legion disappeared. What appeared in front of everyone was a huge white tiger. It was ferocious, domineering, ruthless, and ruthless. It charged towards the south gate of Luoyang. Its invincible and domineering aura was instantly displayed in front of everyone. Roar. The deafening roar of the tiger was heard. The white tiger, which was already extremely fast, suddenly accelerated. I'm going to die. No, I don't want to die. A person looked at the violent white tiger and shivered. Then he screamed. I don't want... Why? This is a game. This is a game. Why do I feel like I'm really going to die? The players knew that this was a game. To them, death was not real death. They had died many times and were fine. However, at this moment, a fear that came from the depths of their souls appeared in their hearts. A player suddenly thought of something and hurriedly shouted at Yi Chun with a trembling voice. Don't kill us. Boss Yi Chun, we'll make way. He had a feeling that if he was killed by this white tiger, he might really die. That extremely tyrannical killing intent was like a cold wind from the 9 nether hells, blowing against him. Even his soul began to tremble and shudder. At this very moment, he was not the only one who felt this way. The players at the city gate, without exception, had this seemingly absurd but incomparably real feeling. Their souls trembled and shuddered in fear. They felt that if they were killed, they would really die completely. Boss Yi Chun, I'll move aside. I was wrong. I shouldn't have come here. I shouldn't have had such bad intentions. Let me go. I beg you, let me go. Guru Yi Chun, big brother, I was wrong. Spare me, spare me. Boss Yi Chun, I won't dare to go against you in the future. I swear. As long as you let me go, I promise to follow your lead from now on. One by one, the players began to beg for mercy. They were truly afraid. The fear that came from the depths of their souls was indescribable, but it really appeared in their hearts. Yi Chun looked at the huge white tiger that was about to reach the city gate and couldn't help but smirk. Samsara Legion, 1 and only Special Forces grade. S number of soldiers, 10,000 Army Battle Formation. White Tiger Battle Formation, innate battle formation, army skills. Invade like fire, immovable like mountains. Invade like fire. When attacking the enemy, it's like a prairie fire, unstoppable. Immovable like mountains. When the army is stationed, it's like a mountain, unshakable. Who would have thought? Then innate battle formation would actually raise the Samsara Legion's grade to S. At this moment, the Samsara Legion soldiers' grades were still not high, and they hadn't fully grasped the various skills. As long as the Samsara Legion went through a few more battles, they could easily reach grade SS or even grade SSS. Even before entering the Eldritch world, it wasn't impossible for them to directly become an innate army. An innate battle formation was indeed powerful. If that was the case, the plan would be much smoother. At this thought, Yichen looked at the frightened players who were crying and begging for mercy. They were afraid of death because they felt death, real death. In fact, they weren't wrong. If they were killed by the White Tiger battle formation, they would really die. However, they would have 10 chances. 10 chances to die. Just like when they entered the Eldritch world, everyone would have 10 chances to die. After dying 10 times, their souls would completely disappear. Even though they wouldn't really die after being killed, they could continue to die 9 more times. However, as a punishment for death, they would definitely be unconscious for 3 to 5 days. If their willpower was too weak and couldn't withstand the impact of the White Tiger battle formation, they might even become mentally retarded. After all, the White Tiger battle formation was an innate battle formation and had the ability to attack souls. The White Tiger battle formation had just appeared and needed fresh blood as a sacrifice. Since the Samsara Legion is here and you don't want to leave, then you can't blame me. At this thought, Yichen sneered. These people kept saying that they were wrong and wanted to leave, but Yichen still gave them 3 minutes. Although Jianwei and the Samsara Legion arrived very quickly, they still had a chance to leave. In the end, no one left. Their motive was obvious. They were still hoping that they would have a chance to kill Yichen. Chapter 105. Roar. The deafening roar of the tiger sounded again. The gigantic white tiger forcefully charged into Luoyang's southern city gate. With a fierce leap, it jumped down heavily. Boom! The ground started to shake. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Countless sounds of air being torn apart followed. The players near Luoyang South City Gate were sent flying in droves. In midair, their bodies were torn apart and blood splattered everywhere. In the blink of an eye, tens of thousands of players were killed. At this moment, the extremely tyrannical aura on the white tiger's body became even more vigorous and intense. Roar! A heaven-shaking roar rang out once more. The Samsara Legion, in the form of a white tiger, raised its head and charged forward. A white stream of light appeared and passed by countless players. Boom, boom, boom. Countless sounds of explosions could be heard. Wherever the stream of light passed, the players disappeared without exception. All that was left was the churning blood mist. The white tiger killed more than 100,000 players in an instant. Swoosh! The stream of light stopped and the white tiger disappeared. Dianwei and the Samsara Legion appeared in front of Yichen. Hiss! Gasps could be heard from the players behind Yichen as far as the eye could see. Damn! This is too scary. How are we going to play this game? Damn, it killed more than 100,000 players in an instant. No matter how many people there are, there won't be enough to kill. I just want to know how that tiger appeared. Why is it gone now? It must be Yi Chen's cavalry. Isn't it obvious? How can cavalry turn into tigers? Damn, I've never heard of it. Who the F***CK knows? Probably only those Lord-level players would know. F***CK, I can't do this quest anymore. While the players behind Yichen were discussing in shock, Dianwei and 1,000 Samsara Legion soldiers got off their horses. Swoosh! 1,001 people knelt on one knee in unison. Lord, Dianwei came late and caused the Lord to encounter danger. Please punish me, my lord. Dianwei shouted with a face full of regret. Please punish us, my lord. The soldiers of the Samsara Legion shouted in unison. Yichen smiled and said, That's right. It's all right. You guys came just in time. Besides, it's just a bunch of ants. It's not a big deal. My lord, those people. Jianwei paused for a moment, then nodded. He looked behind Yichun and asked. Although it was a question, Jianwei's undisguised killing intent was enough to reveal his thoughts. Jianwei wanted to kill those who dared to have designs on his lord, Yichun, be it Jianwei or the Samsara Legion. They were all filled with murderous intent towards the players. It was very thick and very strong. Yichun was no saint. These players were already targeting him. So why should he be a good person and let them off? Impossible. Yichun looked at Jianwei, then at the Samsara Legion, then shouted, "Kill!" Yes. Hearing that, Jianwei replied loudly without any hesitation and mounted his horse. The soldiers of the Samsara Legion followed closely behind and mounted their horses. My lord has given his orders. Kill! Jianwei raised his halberd and shouted, "Kill! Kill! Kill!" The soldiers of the Samsara Legion raised their spears and shouted in unison. Murderous intent instantly surged and condensed above the Samsara Legion. F***CK. What's going on? Why do I suddenly feel like we're in danger? Me too. Damn it, this is a game. Why do I feel like this? Could it be that the people who were killed at the city gate were telling the truth? Are we really going to die? It can't be. Weren't they scared? Didn't we just laugh at them for being stupid? How could it be? But, damn it, why do I feel like I'm going to die? I feel the same way too. What's going on? Why do I feel like I'm going to die? F***CK. I've been targeted. Me too. It's not called going offline. What's going on? The players behind Yichun all felt the danger of death. From the initial disbelief, it gradually turned into doubt. Then his soul began to tremble and shudder. Previously, the Samsara Legion had targeted the players at the city gate. They didn't feel anything special and even laughed at them for being stupid. Now that the Samsara Legion had targeted them, they finally understood why the players at the city gate were terrified and even begging for mercy. At this moment, the white tiger that had just disappeared suddenly appeared again and enveloped Jianwei and the Samsara Legion. Roar! An earth-shattering roar suddenly sounded. In the next second, the white tiger pounced and turned into a stream of light that charged towards the players behind Yichun. Boom, boom, boom. Dense explosions rang out one after another. Wherever the flowing light passed, a bloody mist would roll. A second later, the stream of light suddenly stopped and the white tiger appeared 1,000 meters away. Roar! The white tiger roared again and turned into a stream of light again, pouncing towards the terrified players who were begging for mercy. Once, twice, thrice. After the 12th time, the white tiger finally stopped. At this moment, there wasn't a single player on the entire street that led to the south gate of Luoyang other than Yichun. Over 1 million players were wiped out in just a few breaths of time. A thick, bloody mist filled the entire street and drifted away with the wind. Chapter 106. This is too scary. There are over 1 million of them. In one move, over 1 million people died, just like that. They didn't even have a chance to resist, and died just like that. F***CK. Are they really cavalry? They are F***king meat harvesters. No, they're basically superweapons. They killed over 1 million people in the blink of an eye. It's fine if Yichun is scary, but why are his subordinates so scary too? Over 1 million people in one go. How the F***CK are they going to complete that SH**TTY mission? F***CK. You still want to complete that special mission? Look at the situation now. Who can get close to Yichun? It wasn't possible before. Now that Jianwei is here with his troops, don't even think about it. F***CK. Who wants to find Yichun to complete the mission? I'm not going to stay here anymore. I'm not going to stay here either. What those people are shouting might be true. F***CK. It's too creepy. I'm leaving first. There's a guy who lives across from me. He was in that group of people who were turned into a bloody mist. I'm going offline to see if he's dead. In the distance, the players that didn't manage to rush to the main street were all dumbfounded as they looked at the empty street. They were discussing in shock. After a while, These players either went offline or ran away. No one dared to stay here any longer. Dying in the game wasn't scary. It wouldn't hurt anyone. However, the players who were killed by the Samsara Legion's White Tiger formation were crying and begging for mercy before they died. It scared everyone who saw that scene. If it was 1, 2, or even 100 people, it could be explained as acting. However, there were over 1 million people. No matter how awesome Yichun was, could he convince over 1 million people who had designs on Yichun to act? It was impossible. Therefore, these players felt an inexplicable sense of panic in their hearts. Therefore, these players didn't hesitate to give up on completing the special mission. Although the reward was good, they had to be alive to enjoy it. On the streets of Luoyang towards the south gate, there were countless players who didn't know the truth. They saw the White Tiger, but they didn't know what happened on the streets of the south gate. And now, countless people began to flee from that place, causing them to be dumbfounded. At this moment, the world channel became lively. F***CK. F***CK. The people who were killed by Yichun's cavalry are really in trouble. I really don't want to admit it, but I have to say that one of the people who were killed by the White Tiger lived next door to me. He became an idiot and went crazy. I have one here too. He's at the opposite door. He's unconscious. I can't wake him up no matter how hard I try, but he's not in the game. Woo-woo. Bossy-chun, I beg you, please wake my boyfriend up. As long as you can wake him up, I'll do anything you ask of me. Are you kidding me? This was a game. Games. F***CK. He was killed, and something happened to him in real life? Are they F***King kidding me? Exactly. It's just a game. You'll revive after you die. What's there to worry about? I suspect that you guys are hired by Yichun. I think so too. This is too F***King fake. Being killed in the game and fainted in real life? And becoming an idiot? This is the funniest joke I've heard in recent days. They're not lying. It's true. I'm in a safe city in Magic City. There's a person in Block B, 2102. He became a lunatic. He was killed by the White Tiger not long after he came online. Then, he went offline and became a lunatic. If you don't believe me, you can come and take a look. As long as you're in a safe city in Magic City, you can come and take a look. I have one here too. He's sharing a room with me. F***CK. He's really unconscious now. He's in a safe city in Beijing, Block C, 1812. F***CK. I don't believe it. I'm in Magic City. I'll go take a look. I don't believe it either. I'm in Beijing. I'll go take a look too. The world channel was in chaos. However, the content shocked all the players in the Three Kingdoms novice zone who saw it. Fainting after being killed? Becoming an idiot? How F***king terrifying was that? For a moment, countless players who wanted to come to Luoyang to kill Yichun for the special quest reward stopped in their tracks. Many people even went offline and went to their respective cities to see the people who were either fainted or became idiots. Luoyang, on the street of the South Gate. Dianwei led the Samsara Legion to clear the entire street of players. He originally planned to continue chasing after the players who escaped. However, Yichun stopped him and he returned to Yichun's side. Yichun did not want to waste any more time on these individual players. He asked Dianwei to kill millions of players for 2 reasons. One was to sacrifice the array, and the other was to intimidate them. Yichun did not have much time to waste on them. After all, a large number of Wuhuan cavalry might appear in Samsara town in 5 days. They could not use the teleportation array, so they could only ride back to Samsara town. Otherwise, Yichun would not let go of these players who dare to target him. Yichun looked at the empty street of Luoyang and curled his lips in disdain. Then, he looked at Run Hanchang behind him. From the moment the special quest started, Run Hanchang had been hugging Yichun's waist. Originally, Yichun thought that Run Hanchang would be scared out of her wits. However, that was not the case. She was not frightened by Yichun's ruthless killing of the players, nor was she frightened by the broken limbs flying everywhere, nor did she scream because of the blood splattering everywhere. Although she was a little nervous, she was surprisingly quiet. She quietly stayed behind Yichun without saying a word until now. Sure enough, even if she was sealed, she was still extraordinary. Thinking of this, Yi Chen smiled and said, "Hold on to me tightly. There will be more killing in a while. Don't fall." "Yes, General." Ren Hanchang nodded and replied softly. Yi Chen let out a long breath, then looked at the south gate of Luoyang and shouted, "Let's go." "Yes," the Samsara Legion shouted in unison. Then, they urged their war horses to follow Yi Chen to the south of Luoyang. Chapter 107. 50 miles east of Luoyang City. Teleportation Circle. The teleportation circle, which had been lit up since the start of the special quest, suddenly went out. A few minutes later, the teleportation circle lit up again. Then, countless soldiers could be seen walking out of the teleportation circle. 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. The number of soldiers kept increasing, and soon there were 1,000,000 of them. They were equipped with all kinds of equipment, and some were even holding wooden spears. However, from the aura they exuded, it was clear that they were soldiers belonging to the Lord Players. After all the soldiers were teleported and stood in place, a group of people walked out of the teleportation circle. If Yi Chen was here, he would immediately recognize these people as the leaders of the player factions that had participated in the auction at Luoyang's Ulin. "Are you sure that Yi Chen will pass through here?" one person asked with a frown. "Not long ago, someone saw that cavalry in Yangli County. Now, we can confirm that Yi Chen's Samsara town is in Yuzhou. Now, Yi Chen can no longer use the teleportation circle, and this is the place he must pass through to return to Yuzhou." One person nodded and said, "This time we must make him stay. Not only must we kill him, but we must also capture him and torture him. I don't believe that he won't tell us the secret of the game." One person said viciously, "What if what those people in the world say is true? Also, Yi Chen's cavalry isn't easy to deal with. It said that he transformed into a white tiger and killed millions of players." One person frowned and said, "So what? With such strong offensive power, it's impossible for there to be no restrictions. Don't forget, it's not like we're not prepared. As long as Yi Chen appears, we'll shoot thousands of arrows and kill him." One person said with disdain, "Yeah, what's there to worry about? He's just an ant. He thinks that he can show off just because he knows some of the game's secrets. This time, if we don't teach him a lesson, he'll really think that he's invincible." One person nodded and said in agreement. "Then after we kill him, how do we split the reward of the king-level cultivation technique?" One person asked as he thought of something. "Of course it belongs to whoever brings the most soldiers." Someone said without hesitation, "Bullshit, you're the one with the most soldiers here. Could it be that you can kill Yi Chen without us doing anything?" Someone shouted angrily as he glared at Xiao Chen. "All of you shut up." A cold snort was heard, and the scene instantly quieted down. "Yi Chen hasn't arrived yet, and you're already fighting amongst yourselves. Do you still want to succeed in killing him?" A middle-aged man with more than half of his white hair shouted coldly. "Then what do you think we should do?" someone asked. "It's very simple. We'll draw lots. Whoever draws the lot gets to keep it. The others will split the credits equally. Do you have any objections?" The middle-aged man said without hesitation. Everyone looked at each other and nodded in unison. "Very good. Tell your archers to get into position. Once Yi Chen arrives and enters your shooting range, shoot him with 10,000 arrows. Kill him." The middle-aged man nodded in satisfaction and said, "Okay." Everyone nodded in unison, then turned around to pass on the order. Rumble. The war horses galloped, causing the earth to tremble. After a group of cavalry charged out of Luoyang's southern gate, they immediately turned east, then changed directions again and charged toward Chaoga in the northeast. Yi Chen, who was leading the charge, suddenly frowned. He then turned his head and shouted to Dian Wei, who was galloping next to him. Dian Wei, pass down the order. Change weapons to oxhorn bows. "Yes, master," Dian Wei replied loudly, then turned around and shouted, "Master's orders. Change weapons to oxhorn bows." When the frontmost cavalry of the Samsara Legion heard this, they immediately turned around and shouted, "Master's orders. Change weapons to oxhorn bows." Master's orders. Change weapons to oxhorn bows. After a few breaths, the Samsara Legion soldiers neatly holstered their spears, then took out oxhorn bows from their backs and continued galloping. Master, are there enemies? Dianwei looked at Yi Chun and asked. Yi Chun nodded and said, yes, some small fries that didn't appear in Luoyang. If I'm not wrong, they're already waiting for us. Master, I'll do it. Master, go to the back. Dianwei said without hesitation. There's no need, not to mention that I'm wearing armor. Even if I wasn't wearing armor, an ordinary sword wouldn't be able to harm a single hair on my body, Yi Chun said with a faint smile. Yi Chun naturally had his reasons for saying so. Yi Chun naturally had his reasons. The 9 Revolutions' mysterious art was a chaos-grade technique. Even if Yi Chun had only scratched the surface, it couldn't hide the strength of Yi Chun's physical body. Moreover, there weren't any powerful weapons in the Three Kingdoms Novice Zone. If they wanted to harm Yi Chun now, they would need at least an Earth-grade weapon. If Yi Chun's realm increased again, then even an Earth-grade weapon wouldn't be able to harm Yi Chun. Master, the Samsara Legion still has the White Tiger battle formation. There's no need for Master to charge at the front. Dianwei was anxious when he heard this. He didn't want Yi Chun to take the risk. Even if Yi Chun's physical body was strong, he couldn't do it. If something happened to Yi Chun, then Dianwei would be guilty. How long can the White Tiger battle formation last? Yi Chun glared at Dianwei and asked. This. Dianwei didn't know what to say. Yi Chun shook his head helplessly and said, I was the one who founded the Samsara Legion. The Samsara Legion was founded by me. Do you think your lord doesn't know the capabilities of the Samsara Legion? The White Tiger battle formation can only be used 3 more times. The entire Samsara Legion will be weakened instantly, and its strength will be reduced to less than 30%. It will last for at least 3 days. Master, I'm not afraid of death. No one in the Samsara Legion is afraid of death. Dianwei said loudly. Yi Chun glared at Dianwei and shouted, Don't be afraid. Shut up. It's a good thing that you're not afraid of death. If you're brave enough to go into battle, you won't be afraid even if you meet an enemy 100 times stronger than you. However, you can clearly avoid danger. Why do you insist on being brave? Remember, in the future, without my orders, the White Tiger battle formation must only be used 3 times. Otherwise, you'll be punished by military law. Yes, Master. Dianwei scratched the back of his head and replied. Rumble. The war horses were galloping toward Chaoga at full speed. When the afterglow of the setting sun shone on the earth, a boundless sea of people appeared in front of Yi Chun's group. They were soldiers, endless soldiers that belonged to the Lord-class players. They're really waiting for me here. Yi Chun looked at the boundless sea of soldiers in the distance and narrowed his eyes. A cold glint flashed across his eyes. Chapter 108. It wasn't that Yi Chun hadn't thought of taking a detour, but that would delay his return to Samsara Town. Once he took a detour, Yi Chun would have to spend at least half a day more. Half a day didn't seem like much, but most of the time, even a minute could determine the success or failure of a matter. Therefore, Yi Chun didn't want to take a detour. If he didn't take a detour, he would be blocked. Yi Chun had thought about it before, but Yi Chun wasn't afraid. At this moment, the game hadn't been launched for long. Yi Chun didn't think that anyone could be stronger than him, whether it was soldiers or generals. Looking at the endless millions of allied troops, Yi Chun snorted coldly and then shouted, 500 meters, turn northwest and shoot. My lord's orders. 500 meters away, turn to the northwest and shoot on horseback. Dianwei roared without looking back. The entire Samsara Legion heard him. Yes, my lord. The Samsara Legion soldiers shouted in unison. Then, they gripped the horn bows in their hands and continued to follow behind Yi Chun towards the million-strong allied troops. At the million-strong allied troops base. He's here. Yi Chun is here. Quick, tell the archers to get ready. The leader of a player faction shouted with glowing eyes. Quick, pass down the order. Prepare to attack. As long as Yi Chun enters the shooting range, 10,000 arrows will be fired. Someone shouted excitedly. Soon, The subordinates of the leader of the player faction ran to pass down the order. I didn't think that Yi-chan would really dare to come over after seeing us. Someone said disdainfully as he looked at Yi-chan, who was charging towards them. Ha! I already said that this person is too arrogant. Great, we'll teach him a lesson today. We'll show him what it means to be an archer with a cheat code. Someone laughed and said, Ha ha! I can't wait to see Yi-chan's shocked and horrified face. Someone laughed maniacally. It's just 1,000 cavalrymen. So what if he has a big move? I don't believe that he can use his big move infinitely. Besides, even if he has a big move, how can he withstand the attacks of 100,000 archers? One of them said confidently. Rumble. The war horses galloped, stirring up a cloud of dust. Yi-chan took the lead, and when he was 500 meters away from the million-strong army, he suddenly pulled on the reins, and the war horse immediately headed northwest. Behind him, the soldiers of the Samsara Legion followed Yi-chan's movements and turned northwest. Mounted archery. After Jianwei's shout, a series of whooshing sounds could be heard. 1,000 arrows instantly shot towards the million allied army archers. At the million-strong Alliance army base. F***CK. Why did Yi-chan suddenly change directions? Is he trying to escape? The leader of a player faction was shocked when he saw Yi-chan change directions, and then shouted, F***CK. Trying to escape? Quick! Order the army to stop him. One of them shouted angrily. No, Yi-chan's cavalrymen are shooting arrows. One of them was stunned when he saw the cavalryman's movements, and then shouted, He's shooting arrows from such a long distance? F***CK. Is Yi-chan scared out of his wits? One of them was stunned for a moment, and then laughed. The effective range of the arrows is only 100 meters. The better ones are 200 meters. He wants to hit us from such a long distance? What are you thinking? One of them said mockingly. At this moment, the arrows arrived at the million-strong Allied army's position, and then directly pierced the position of the archers. Puff, puff, puff. A series of sounds of arrows hitting human bodies could be heard. Screams of agony could be heard. At the archers' position, more than 500 of them were killed in an instant. The others, without exception, were not shot in their vital parts. However, it was basically impossible for them to fight again. Seeing the miserable state of the archers' position, the faces of the leaders of the player factions changed. F***CK. How is this possible? 500 meters. That place is 500 meters away from us. How can it still be lethal? The leader of a player faction shouted in disbelief. How can it be shot so far? One of them said in a daze. The quality of the cavalrymen's bows must be high. One of them suddenly thought of something, and then said with a pale face, F***CK, what should we do? They're all cavalrymen. If they don't come over, we won't be able to catch up to them, even if we chase after them. One of them heard this, and his face suddenly changed, and then he said with great difficulty, Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, 1,000 arrows flew over again. F***CK again. The leader of a player faction shouted with a pale face. Puff, puff, puff. Another 1,000 soldiers were hit by the arrows. New screams could be heard. Quick, think of something. If this continues, how many archers will we lose? How are we going to kill Yi-chan? The leader of a player faction saw that a large portion of his soldiers had been killed, and his face immediately darkened, and he angrily roared. Tell the sword-shield soldiers to go up, and the archers to retreat to the back. Let's use up the arrows of the cavalrymen. A middle-aged man frowned and then shouted. That's right, F***CK. How could I forget about the sword-shield soldiers? With them here, we won't have to worry about being shot to death. At the very least, we won't lose any archers. The leader of a player faction paused for a moment before yelling in delight. Quick, tell the archers to retreat and the sword-shield soldiers to go up. The leaders of the player factions started to give out orders. Whoosh, whoosh. Another wave of arrows flew towards the archers who had not retreated, instantly killing 500 to 600 of them and heavily injuring the remaining archers. When the orders of the leaders of the various player forces reached their respective troops, their archers were shot twice more. Only a few thousand archers were killed. Compared to the 100,000 archers, it was not much time. Yi Chun, who was leading the Samsara Legion towards the northwest, had been paying attention to the movements of the million-strong Alliance army. Archers retreat? Yi Chun curled his lips in disdain. In the face of great strength, any strategy was useless, and equipment was also strength. Thinking of this, Yi Chun said, "Turn back and shoot." After Yi Chun finished speaking, he suddenly remembered something and hurriedly said, "Don't shout." It was Jian Wei's loud voice. It was simply too loud. If he asked Jian Wei to shout, then the enemy would know. Once the enemy heard it, they would be prepared, and the effectiveness of the attack would be greatly reduced. Jian Wei was about to give the order, but he couldn't help but be stunned. He then turned to the Samsara Legion soldiers behind him and shouted in a low voice, "My lord's orders! Turn back and shoot! My lord's orders! Turn back and shoot!" The Samsara Legion soldiers in the front row were obviously very smart. They copied Jian Wei and passed down the order. "My lord's orders! Turn back and shoot!" Soon, all the Samsara Legion soldiers received the order. Rumble. Suddenly, Yi Chun turned his horse around and rushed towards the million-strong Alliance army. At the million-strong Alliance army's base. Ha ha ha! Yi Chun is still too inexperienced. Did you see that? When he saw our archers retreat and our sword and shield soldiers move forward, he couldn't hold back. The leader of a player faction suddenly laughed proudly. This kid is dead for sure this time. Someone said in agreement. At this moment, Yi Chun, who was originally charging towards the million-strong Alliance army, suddenly turned around and rushed towards the southeast after traveling 300 meters. The Samsara Legion behind, Yi Chun also turned around and rushed towards the southeast. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The sound of arrows piercing through the air was heard again. Damn, there are sword and shield soldiers in front. Even if we are shot to death, it will be sword and shield soldiers who die. Let's see how you kill my archers this time. The leader of a player faction, who had almost all his archers killed, was stunned for a moment before he cursed angrily. No, look those arrows. The leader of a player faction suddenly changed his expression and looked towards the sky. Damn, this bastard is actually using shoot. The leader of a player faction was stunned for a moment before he cursed. PFFF, PFFF, PFFF. A new round of screams was heard again. Quick, think of something. Damn, if this goes on, won't all our archers die? One person was stunned for a moment before he screamed in shock. Damn, I don't believe that bastard has a lot of arrows. One person shouted with a pale face when he saw that some of his archers had died. Don't forget, that bastard soldiers each have 3 horses. What if those horses are loaded with arrows? One person asked in a low voice. As soon as this person finished speaking, the leaders of the player factions present all changed their expressions. They all thought highly of archers. This was because archers stood far away and could shoot from afar. They didn't have to worry about being injured in battle. All they had to do was draw their bows and shoot. Therefore, they didn't want their archers to suffer any losses. Of course, this was what these people thought. In reality, the destructive power of an archer was indeed great, but it wasn't absolute. On the battlefield, there were no invincible professions. There were only generals who didn't know how to fight. Just as the leaders of the player factions were angry, worried, and trying to think of a solution, the attacks from the Samsara Legion never stopped. Arrows after arrows took away the lives of groups of archers. Then, more and more screams could be heard. An atmosphere of panic started to rise in the hearts of the million allied soldiers. However, the leaders of the player factions didn't feel anything. In their eyes, the million allied soldiers were all NPCs. If they died, then so be it. At most, they would feel a little heartache, because every soldier was trained with money. Wait a little longer. The middle-aged man looked at the archers who were being shot and said with a gloomy face, the archers couldn't retreat anymore. If they retreated, they wouldn't be a threat to Yi Chun. This was an outcome that he couldn't accept. This was because once Yi Chun lost the threat of the archers, the cavalry would be able to start charging without any worries. Once the cavalry started charging, a hole would appear in the million-strong alliance army. Then, it would be difficult to block each other. Chapter 109. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The Samsara Legion's arrows continued to fly towards the million-strong alliance army, taking away the lives of the archers. After the Samsara Legion shot 7 or 8 times, they changed direction and shot again. It was repeated over and over again, taking away the lives of countless archers. The cries of agony from the million-strong alliance army kept increasing. F***CK. How many times have we shot? A player leader shouted with an ashen face. We can't wait any longer. If we wait any longer, all the archers will be shot to death. A player shouted angrily. Then what should we do? You tell me, should we attack with all our troops? Those are cavalry. Cavalry. We're the only ones with war horses here. Those soldiers are all infantry. A player shouted angrily. Use the soldiers to block him. I don't believe that a cavalry charge can ignore a human wall. A player said fiercely. The middle-aged man's face was gloomy. After a while, he said, there's a northwest and a mountainous region. There's a river in the northwest and a mountain in the southeast. Now that Yi Chun intends to return to Yuzhou province from here, he would never take a detour. Assign people to form a human wall in the narrowest place. All the rest of the soldiers launch an attack. Don't worry about losing too many soldiers. After killing Yi Chun, we will share the loss. Okay. The leaders of the player forces looked at each other and replied in unison. In the next second, they started to pass down their orders. Rumble. The war horses galloped. The Samsara Legion soldiers kept shooting at the million-strong alliance army. At this moment, Yi Chun squinted his eyes. My lord, they are moving. Dian Wei suddenly shouted. Yi Chun nodded and shouted, prepare to charge. My lord's orders. Prepare to charge. Hearing that, Dian Wei turned around and roared. After shouting, he pulled out 2 metal halberds from his back and looked fiercely at the million-strong alliance army. Yes, my lord. The Samsara Legion's soldiers replied in unison. Then they put away their horn bows and picked up their steel and spears again. Swoosh! The Samsara Legion soldiers raised their steel and spears in unison. Yi Chun waved his right hand, and the Godslayer appeared in his hand. He pointed at the million-strong alliance army and shouted, charge! Kill! 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 Everyone shouted in unison. Yi Chun's legs squeezed the horse, and he galloped towards the million-strong alliance army. Dian Wei followed closely and guarded Yi Chun. Behind him, the Samsara Legion galloped with 1 man and 3 horses. Rumble. After activating charge, the Samsara Legion's speed increased again, and a dense killing intent erupted from them. Alliance army. Yi is. They're charging. The leader of a player faction shouted when he saw this scene. I was just worried that he would run away. It's even better that he's here. Block him. Someone shouted loudly. Charge! Charge! A player leader shouted as soldiers run. The boundless alliance army began to move and charged towards the Samsara Legion. Yi Chun looked at the seemingly endless soldiers and smiled coldly. He held the Godslayer in his right hand and swung it forward. Kill! With a roar, Yi Chun took the lead and charged into the sea of soldiers. In an instant, soldiers were sent flying by Yi Chun. They were stabbed to death. They were sent flying by the galloping horses. What was worse was that their bodies were smashed by Yi Chun. Kill! Dian Wei roared. He swung his halberds up and down and smashed the heads of soldiers one after another. Kill! 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 The Samsara Legion shouted in unison. They pointed their steel and spears and stabbed forward without stopping. In a breath's time, a bloody path that was hundreds of meters long appeared behind Yi Chun. Rumble! The Samsara Legion charged and followed closely behind Yi Chun. They charged forward without stopping. The Alliance army was wiped out one by one. The Samsara Legion was still charging forward. Soon, the Samsara Legion charged into the depths of the Alliance army. The gap that had just been opened began to close. Countless alliance soldiers began to surround the Samsara Legion. Ha ha! Surrounded, surrounded. As long as we form a human wall, we will definitely be able to stop the cavalry. Let's see how Yi Chun will escape this time. A player leader shouted excitedly when he saw Yi Chun surrounded by the Alliance army. Damn, it's not easy. Luckily, Yi Chun is stupid enough to charge in. Let's kill him later, capture him at the resurrection point, and throw him in jail. Let's see if he can still be so arrogant then. A player said after letting out a long sigh. Damn, if it weren't for the fact that our territory didn't know how to build barricades, we wouldn't have lost so many soldiers. A player sighed and said, as long as we can kill Yi Chun, these losses are nothing. The key is to capture him and interrogate him about the game's secrets. It's best if we can get his real-life address as well. That way, he will be honest, a player said with a smile. Yes, indeed. The key is his real-life location. As long as we capture Yi Chun in real life, all problems will be solved. A player nodded in agreement and said, just as the leaders of the various player factions thought that victory was in their hands, an unusual aura began to appear among the Alliance army. If these player leaders were more serious, they would realize that the morale of the soldiers that they brought along was rapidly decreasing. Even though there were still 800,000 to 900,000 soldiers, their morale was constantly decreasing and their fighting spirit was rapidly dissipating. Rumble! Yi Chun led the Samsara Legion and charged forward. He held the Godslayer in his right hand and brutally reaped the lives of the enemy soldiers. Any soldier that appeared in front of Yi Chun, without exception, was killed in one strike. Those that were stabbed to death had their corpses intact. Those that were smashed to death had their heads smashed into pieces. Domineering, brutal, and invincible. These were the true portrayals of Yi Chun and the thoughts of countless Alliance army soldiers. Dian Wei, who was beside Yi Chun, wasn't bad either. It could even be said that he was more brutal than Yi Chun. This was because Dian Wei's halberds could only be described with one word: smash. He smashed the heads of the enemy soldiers until their bodies were scattered. Not a single one of them died in one piece. Yi Chun and Dian Wei were quickly covered in blood. Under the setting sun, they looked like ghosts. It was terrifying, chilling, and panic-inducing. No one could stop them. No one could stop them. This was the opinion that all the Alliance army soldiers had of Yi Chun and Dian Wei. The Alliance army's morale fell again and again as the Samsara Legion charged forward. Yi Chun was constantly killing the enemy soldiers in front of him. Suddenly, Yi Chun narrowed his eyes. This was because Yi Chun sensed that there was an unusual aura among the Alliance army soldiers. Their morale fell so quickly. What did those people do to incur the wrath of the heavens? As soon as this doubt appeared, Yi Chun immediately realized that all of this was caused by the leaders of the players. It was because of the inaction of the leaders of the players. It was because of their coldness. It was because they didn't treat the soldiers as humans. It was also because of the tyranny of the Samsara Legion. Thinking of this, Yi Chun raised his eyebrows and shouted, "Pass down my order. Pierce through, then return, and continue to pierce. Destroy the morale of the enemy's soldiers." Chapter 110. Yes, Lord, Dian Wei shouted after hearing Yi Chun's order. He smashed the head of a soldier with his halberd. Kill! The Samsara Legion shouted in unison. Then, they all began to crazily urge their war horses forward. Their charge became even more ferocious. Rumble! The war horses galloped and the earth shook. Their spears were pointed at the Alliance army soldiers. If one were to watch from the sky, they would see a shocking scene. The Samsara Legion seemed to have become a giant hammer. All the enemy soldiers in front were sent flying backward or to the sides. Wherever the Samsara Legion passed, people were sent flying again and again. Indomitable and unstoppable. This was the true portrayal of the Samsara Legion. Yi Chun took the lead. He was domineering and wild. Dian Wei followed closely by his side. He was ferocious and overbearing. The Samsara Legion followed closely behind. They charged forward again and again. They were sent flying again and again. What's going on? Where's the human wall? Why didn't the human wall appear? The leader of a player faction was furious when he saw that his soldiers did not follow his orders to form a human wall. Damn it, this is weird. Why are these soldiers not listening to me? I clearly told them to form a human wall to block Yi Qin's cavalry after the entire army attacked, someone said angrily with a frown. Pass down the order again. Order those soldiers to form a human wall. The middle-aged man shouted. Damn it, I'll pass down the order. If these bastards don't form a human wall, I'll skin them alive. Someone said angrily and ran off to pass down the order. The others also ran off to pass down the order. They ordered the soldiers they brought to form a human wall to block the Samsara Legion's charge. Not long after, there were some changes on the battlefield. At this moment, the Samsara Legion had already charged into the center of the Alliance army. At this moment, soldiers started to gather behind the million-strong Alliance army. Soon, they were squeezed together. The position they appeared at was the path that Yi Qin had to pass through. The human wall had already taken shape, and it was getting wider and thicker. When Yi Qin saw the human wall, his eyes suddenly widened, and a bright light flashed through them. That's exactly what I wanted. Originally, I was still thinking of how to quickly destroy the morale of these soldiers. Now, the opportunity had come. Thinking of this, Yi Qin tightened his grip on the Godslayer in his right hand and shook it. Buzz! There was an explosion in the air, and a black light appeared. Then, it turned into a chi blade and swept toward the human wall. Pooh! 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 A series of sounds rang out as the human wall was instantly sliced apart. The true chi in Yi Qin's body had begun to recover. Although it had not yet returned to its peak state, it was not a problem to use it 10 or 20 times. At this time, Dian Wei, who was next to Yi Qin, glared angrily and put the iron halberd in his right hand behind his back. Then he took out a small iron halberd from the horse's back and threw it out with a woo sound. Pooh! 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 A series of sounds rang out. The human wall formed by the soldiers of the Alliance was instantly pierced through by a small iron halberd for thousands of meters. Dian Wei's casual attack killed thousands of enemy soldiers in an instant. Woo! Woo! In the blink of an eye, Dian Wei threw out dozens of small iron halberds and smashed the human wall in front of them into pieces. Rumble! The Samsara Legion followed behind Yi Qin and Dian Wei and rushed into the human wall that had been cut open. Bang! 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 Groups of enemy soldiers were sent flying again. The human wall was broken by the Samsara Legion in a breath's time, and then they rushed forward again. In front of them was a relatively narrow passage. On the left was a surging river, and on the right was a towering mountain. In the middle, there was a dense human wall. They were arranged here by the leaders of the player forces as the last checkpoint. Looking at the human wall that was even more congested than before, Yi Qin narrowed his eyes and raised the Godslayer in his right hand, pointing at the endless human wall. White Tiger battle formation. Kill! 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 Deafening shouts sounded instantly. In the next second, an extremely strong, murderous aura appeared above the Samsara Legion and then condensed. Roar! After the deafening roar, a huge white tiger appeared in the sky and then fell to the ground, enveloping Yi Qin, Dian Wei, and the Samsara Legion. A brutal, ruthless, and murderous aura appeared on the white tiger's body. That white tiger, F*CK. Didn't they say that there was a limit to his ultimate move? How can he still use it? Why didn't he use it just now? A leader of the player forces saw this, and his expression changed as he shouted in shock. F*CK, this is bad. If he breaks through the human wall, how are we going to kill Yi Qin? Someone shouted in frustration. Damn it! The leaders of the player forces clenched their fists and cursed unwillingly. Roar! The deafening roar sounded again. In the next second, the white tiger pounced on the human wall in front of it. After a few steps, it turned into a stream of light and flashed past. This time, the power of the white tiger's attack had obviously increased by at least 2 times. Boom! 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 A series of explosions sounded, and a 2-kilometer-long path covered in blood fog appeared on the narrow road. The The white tiger disappeared, revealing Yi Chen's body. He couldn't help but be taken aback. Originally, Yi Chen had planned to use the white tiger battle formation once, and then use force to cut through the human wall. But in the end, after the white tiger battle formation attack, the human wall was cleared. What was going on? Compared to when they were in Luoyang, the white tiger battle formation only had Yi Chen, but its power had increased by at least 2 times. Dian Wei also noticed the abnormality of the white tiger battle formation and asked after a slight pause, "My lord, do you have a Khanate treasure?" Dian Wei's question immediately reminded Yi Chen. He then looked at the Godslayer in his hand. Khanate Cardinal Treasure, Godslayer. F***CK. He didn't expect this to be an addition to the army's battle formation. Congratulations, my lord. Congratulations, my lord. I knew that my lord wasn't an ordinary person. You actually have a Khanate treasure with you, Dian Wei said excitedly when he saw this. Yi Chen smiled, then raised the Godslayer and shouted, "Change direction, pierce through. Kill, kill, kill." The Samsara Legion soldiers raised the guns in their hands excitedly and roared loudly. They were excited because under the leadership of their lord, Yi Chen, they had pierced through the million-strong army. This was originally impossible, but it had actually happened. It was a perfect success, and none of them were injured. Damn it, bastards, bastards. They really broke through the human wall. What should we do now? The leader of a player faction looked at the Samsara Legion in the distance and asked with a livid expression, "Damn it, there's still a chance. Since that bastard wants to return to Yuzhou and can't use the teleportation portal, we'll continue to block him in front. I don't believe that he'll be so lucky every time," someone said through gritted teeth. Damn it, am I seeing things? Is Yi Chen back again? Someone suddenly froze, then rubbed his eyes in disbelief and asked. The Samsara Legion, which was supposed to leave, actually turned around and returned to the battlefield under the leadership of Yi Chen. Chapter 111. Bastard. That damn bastard. He's too arrogant. The leader of a player faction roared with an ashen face when he saw that Yi Chen had returned to the battlefield. That bastard is looking down on us. He must be looking down on us. Did you see that? That bastard came back with 1,000 cavalrymen, just like that. A person's face turned red as he screamed. Kill him. You must kill him. That bastard. Ah! A person was so angry that his body trembled as he roared angrily. Don't bother about that, Diao Chan. If there's a chance, kill that bastard as well. Who knows? Yi Chen might still be afraid of Diao Chan. A person suddenly thought of something and immediately shouted. That's right. Don't bother about Diao Chan. If we kill her, then so be it. Even if we can't obtain the king-level cultivation technique, we can't let that bastard Yi Chen live. Not only must we kill him, but we must also kill him in real life. Another person roared in agreement. The middle-aged man gloomily looked at Yi Chen, who was wearing black armor and riding a warhorse in the distance. Then he shouted in a deep voice, "Pass down the order. Attack with all troops. Whoever dares to retreat will be killed. Order the archers to attack as soon as Yi Chen enters their shooting range. Ignore everything else and focus on attacking." The moment the middle-aged man finished speaking, the scene immediately quieted down. After a few breaths, the leader of a player faction stood out and roared fiercely. Good. Let's do that. Damn it. Isn't it just a few soldiers? It's not that much money. I can afford to lose such a small amount of money. If I don't kill that bastard Yi Chen, I won't be able to swallow this anger in my heart. Let's do that. Damn it. I don't believe that Yi Chen will be able to come out unscathed this time. A person clenched his fist and shouted in a deep voice. Good. Soon, the million soldiers of the Allied army received the order to attack Yi Chen with all their might. Anyone who retreated would be killed. As for the archers, they also received the order to attack as soon as Yi Chen entered their shooting range. They didn't care about anything else and only focused on attacking. The other soldiers didn't know about it, but the archers were in an uproar. How could they not understand what it meant to attack without caring about anything else? For a moment, The archers looked at each other with ugly expressions on their faces. It was very likely that they were attacking their fellow soldiers, their good friends from the same village, or even their relatives from the same village. How were they supposed to do anything to him? Their morale, which had already begun to drop, dropped even more at this moment. None of this was known to the leaders of the player factions standing in the distance. In their eyes, these soldiers were just NPCs. They were just a bunch of data. They didn't see these soldiers as humans at all. Rumble. 3,000 war horses galloped on the ground and activated charge. Speed up even more. The galloping Samsara Legion quickly came into contact with a 1,000,000-strong allied army and easily tore open a gap. Chiseled through. Along the way, countless corpses were lifted into the air. Yi Chun, who was leading the charge, and Godslayer flew up and down. No one was a match for him, and the enemy's soldiers were terrified. Dian Wei, who was protecting Yi Chun, waved his halberd wildly, and the enemy's soldiers howled in pain. The Samsara Legion, who was following closely behind, was cold and merciless. They pointed their steel and spears, and each spear was fatal. They reaped the lives of the enemy's soldiers without restraint. A path of blood and corpses appeared on the battlefield once again. No one could stop them, and no one dared to stop them. The morale of the 1,000,000-strong allied army rapidly dropped until it hit rock bottom. Their morale was completely gone. What's going on? Why is Yi Chun's cavalry more powerful? A player leader who saw the change in the battlefield suddenly changed his expression and shouted in shock. No, it's not Yi Chun who's more powerful. It's our soldiers. Damn it. Are they afraid? A person's expression darkened as he spoke. How can that be? They're NPCs. Shouldn't they listen to our orders? Why are they afraid? And they don't even dare to block us? A person said in shock. Damn it. Quick, tell those archers to shoot, quick. A person saw that the soldiers blocking Yi Chun's path of charge were constantly retreating, and some even began to escape. He was instantly shocked and hurriedly shouted. It's too late. A middle-aged man, who had been observing the battlefield, sighed deeply and said, Too late? Quick, give the order. Otherwise, the soldiers we brought will all be killed by Yi Chun. A person shouted with an ashen face. The middle-aged man ignored the player leader who was about to give the order to attack. His eyes were fixed on the battlefield as he muttered to himself, This isn't what we think. This might be real, or should I say, the simulation is very realistic, including human nature, including the heart, including everything in the real world, or perhaps everything in ancient times. Damn it, what are you talking about? Don't think that I'm afraid of you just because you're a general. Let me tell you now immediately, order the archers to attack. And all of you, give the order. Give the order. The player who was ignored roared with a ferocious expression. Yes, give the order quickly. Damn it, who cares if it's real or not? I only know that if I don't give the order, my soldiers will die in vain. A person regained his senses and hurriedly nodded in response. I'll give the order now. Damn it, die, all of you die. It's fine even if all of you die. I just want Yi Chun to die. A person shouted fiercely. Just as the leaders of the various player forces were about to give the order for the archers to attack, Yi Chun looked at the demoralized enemy soldiers on the battlefield and smirked. Then he shouted, Shout together! Those who surrender will be spared. Those who resist will be killed. The Samsara Legion followed Yi Chun's order without hesitation and shouted in unison. Those who surrender will be spared. Those who resist will be spared. Those who surrender will be spared. Those who resist will be spared. The slogan of the Samsara Legion rang out on the battlefield. At this moment, there were still more than 800,000 soldiers on the battlefield. Only 1,000 of them were shouting for them to surrender. No matter how one looked at it, this seemingly impossible task actually had an abnormal change after the slogan of those who surrender will be spared was heard. Plop, plop, groups of soldiers threw away their weapons and knelt on the ground to surrender. Those who surrender will be spared. Those who resist will be spared. The loud shouts of the Samsara Legion continued to ring out on the battlefield. More and more enemy soldiers knelt on the ground to surrender. Even the archers, who were treated as treasures, were no exception. Damn it, can someone tell me why this is? Our soldiers surrendered to Yi Chun and 1,000 people just like that? A player leader roared in disbelief. I also want to know how many soldiers there are. 800,000, at least 800,000. They were actually scared by 1,000 people? A person shouted with an ashen face. These damn bastards. Bastards. Trash. How could they surrender so easily? A person shouted angrily. We lack a general to lead the troops. Without a general to lead the troops, they're just a motley crew. Also, don't treat them as NPCs in the future. These soldiers all have their own thoughts. The middle-aged man was silent for a moment before he spoke. As soon as the middle-aged man finished speaking, the angry player leaders were all stunned. Obviously, they didn't understand what the middle-aged man meant. Chapter 112. Clop, 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 clop. The warhorses trotted forward slowly. Yichen looked at the countless kneeling soldiers on the battlefield and couldn't help but smirk. These people were really good people. Although less than 10% of them are C-grade aptitudes, there should be at least 50,000 of them. Reincarnation Town could have another 50,000 soldiers. At this thought, Yichen's mood improved. Dianwei. At this moment, Yichen shouted as he looked at the leaders of the player forces standing in the distance. Here, Dianwei replied loudly. Go and kill those people. Yichen pointed at the leaders with the Godslayer in his right hand and said, Yes. Dianwei suddenly widened his eyes and replied aloud. Then, he charged at the leader of the players on his own. Bastard! Yi Chun is looking down on us again. He actually sent someone over. One of the leaders was enraged when he saw this. Damn it! Does he think we're made of mud? Kill this bastard! Another person shouted angrily. Kill this bastard, then we'll leave, another person shouted. Just as the players were discussing how to kill Dianwei, Dianwei got closer and closer. When Dianwei's frighteningly ugly face appeared in everyone's sight, their expressions changed. Not good. That's Dianwei. Damn it. I knew that Yi Chun, that bastard, would play tricks. Damn it, run. Thieves don't run. Watch out for my halberd. Dianwei was infuriated when he saw the leaders of the players running away on their horses without saying anything. Then he roared. After shouting, Dianwei grabbed a small metal halberd and threw it out. Bang, bang, bang. A series of explosions sounded. The leaders of the fleeing players were all blown up by Dianwei, without exception. On the battlefield, Yi Chun looked at the endless sea of surrendered soldiers. After a moment of silence, he began to circulate his true chi and shouted, I don't care who you belonged to before. From this moment on, you are all residents of Samsara Town. When you return to Samsara Town, you will be given land and houses according to the number of people. The land is private property, and the tax is only 10%. Yi Chen's words were straightforward, simple, and crude. However, as soon as Yi Chen finished speaking, the soldiers, who had lost all their morale and had no idea what the future would hold, were all stunned. Then their eyes widened. My lord, is what you said true? A soldier asked excitedly. Of course. I'm a first Viscount of the Great Han Empire, General Ping Bei, and the Lord of Samsara Town. Do you think I'll lie to you? Yi Chen shouted in a domineering manner. No, no, my lord. I didn't say that my lord lied to me. The soldier was shocked and hurriedly explained. Yi Chun waved his hand, then activated his true chi again and shouted, Remember, as a resident of Samsara Town, you have to be loyal to Samsara Town. Only by being loyal will you have everything I promised. The land is still private property, and the tax will always be 10%. It won't increase or decrease. Yi Chen's voice once again spread across the battlefield. In an instant, the entire battlefield fell silent. Then, the heavy breathing gradually became louder and louder. Countless soldiers were as excited as if they had been injected with chicken blood. They couldn't believe that Yi Chen would make such a promise. However, the position of General Ping Bei of the Great Han Empire gave them enough confidence. They were very sure that Yi Chen was speaking the truth. Greetings, my lord. Long live my lord. Chaotic shouts continued to ring out on the battlefield, causing the sky to tremble and buzz. Yichen looked at the battlefield and saw the fanaticism, excitement, and emotion on the faces of the surrendered soldiers. He couldn't help but smirk. Population 1,000,000 people, the key to upgrading a territory from town to a city. Now, it was enough. Thinking of this, Yichun let out a long breath and circulated his true qi. He shouted, "Clean up the battlefield and treat the wounded. Those who are willing to surrender, take good care of them. Those who are unwilling to surrender." At this point, Yichun smiled faintly and said, "Take good care of him, and then let him leave on his own." "Yes, my lord." "Sir Overlord." Countless shouts rang out at this moment. The surrendered soldiers immediately began to move. At this moment, Dianwei rode to Yichun's side and shouted, "My lord, the mission is complete." Yichun smiled and said, "Dianwei, I have a mission for you." Dianwei's eyes lit up when he heard this. He hurriedly asked, "My lord, what is the mission? Just leave it to me. I promise to complete it." "Very good." Yichun nodded with a smile, and then he continued, "You will bring these surrendered soldiers back to Samsara town." "Yes." "Huh?" Dianwei was stunned as soon as he agreed. He didn't expect Yichun to ask him to bring these surrendered soldiers back to Samsara town. These people are very important. If you can bring them back to Samsara town, then it won't take long for Samsara town to upgrade to Samsara city. Yichun smiled and said. Dianwei struggled when he heard this. He wanted to continue following Yichun and protect Yichun. However, he couldn't disobey Yichun's orders. Yichun looked at the conflicted Dianwei and couldn't help but feel warmth in his heart. Of course, Yichun knew what Dianwei was thinking. Dianwei just wanted to stay by his side and protect him. However, Yichun really didn't need to be protected. For this special mission, Yichun had to bring Diaochan back to Samsara town as soon as possible. Therefore, Yichun couldn't bring these 800,000 surrendered soldiers with him. They didn't have war horses and couldn't keep up with the war horses by relying on their legs. Returning to Samsara town was also a little dangerous. Yichun would have to face the encirclement of the players. However, when Yichun was in Luoyang, he wasn't afraid even when facing the overwhelming number of players. Now that he had the Samsara Legion with him, he wasn't afraid at all. Especially after a night's rest, the Samsara Legion's Khanate battle formation, the White Tiger battle formation, could be used again. Yichun was even more confident. Therefore, Yichun decided to ask Dianwei to lead the surrendered soldiers back to Samsara town. Don't worry, there isn't anyone in this world who can hurt me. Dianwei, you must bring all these surrendered soldiers back to Samsara town. This is an order. Yichun shook his head helplessly when he saw Dianwei still struggling. Yes, my lord, Dianwei replied with a conflicted expression. Chapter 113. Yichun smiled and said, Pass down the order. Set up camp here. We'll set off tomorrow morning. Yes, lord. Dianwei nodded and replied. With that said, he went to pass on Yichun's order. At this moment, the sky was already filled with stars. The bright moon had quietly risen from the horizon. Under the moonlight, Yichun's armor was stained with blood. A gentle breeze blew by and lifted the hair on Yichun's forehead, revealing a pair of domineering and breathtaking eyes. Tomorrow, how many people will try to stop me? Thinking of this, Yichun casually opened the world channel that had been closed for a long time. F***CK. It's true. I just went offline to take a look. The person who was killed in Luoyang is really unconscious. He's still unconscious even now. Boss Yichun, please tell me. Will my boyfriend wake up? F***CK. Is this for real? Why are there so many people begging Yichun? F***CK. I just came online. Can someone explain this to me? Guru Yichun triggered a special mission. A group of people went to surround Guru Yichun. In the end, those who were killed were either unconscious or turned into idiots. F***CK. Am I watching a joke? How is that possible? This is just a game. It's a game, but those who were killed have all been confirmed. They really are unconscious and a portion of them have really turned into idiots. F***CK. I just heard the news and thought that my chance to strike it rich was here. F***CK. Can it not be so terrifying? Strike it rich? You didn't see the scene in Luoyang. Yi Chun is too terrifying. He killed until blood flowed like a river. His cavalry is even more terrifying. They can turn into tigers and easily wipe out millions of people. F***CK. Then who dares to find trouble with Yi Chun? Isn't that just asking for trouble? Whoever wants to go can go. I'm not going anyway. I'm not going either. F***CK. I don't want to be killed and fall unconscious. I might even turn into an idiot. Yi Chun is too despicable. This is completely inhumane. That's right. It's one thing to kill someone until he fainted, but to turn someone into an idiot, you might as well kill him. Who can you blame for this? Others were targeting Yi Chun. Yi Chun can't just stand there and let others kill him, right? Looking at the lively discussion in the World Channel, Yi Chun froze for a moment before smiling. From the looks of it, there might be a lot less trouble tomorrow. However, when Yi Chun thought of this, he frowned. After a moment of silence, he sent out his first sentence since entering the game on the World Channel. Anyone can come to me for quests, but they must be prepared to be killed. Also, Lord players, no matter who they are, if they block my path, I'll flatten them and destroy them. The moment Yi Chun's words appeared on the World Channel, it instantly fell silent. 3 seconds later. F***CK. These are Yi Chun's words. I saw the signature. F***CK. These words are really domineering. Flatten them and destroy them. This is directed at those lore players. Yeah, now that you mention it, I suddenly remembered something. Those lore players have troops. They can totally order their troops to attack Yi Chun. F***CK. I regret it. Why didn't I become a lord in the first place? F***CK. To be a lord, you need a village creation token. Can you get one? Ha ha ha, Yi Chun. My 1,000 Machines town is waiting for you to destroy it. Savage Town is waiting for you to destroy it. F***CK. What did I just see? Why are there so many people bragging? F***CK. The only World Channel announcement is Yi Chun's Samsara Town. The other towns haven't even appeared yet. At this moment, the World Channel announcement suddenly sounded. Ding! Sanctuary Village has been upgraded to town. Special reward. Sanctuary Town is the second town in the world. Special reward. 500,000 gold. Sanctuary Town's population spawn rate will be increased by 5 times for 3 days. Ding! Beauty Village has been upgraded to town. Special reward. Beauty Town is the third town in the world. Special reward. 100,000 gold. Beauty Town's population spawn rate will be increased by 2 times for 3 days. After Yi Chun heard the World Channel announcement, he couldn't help but smirk. As expected, some things in history haven't changed. These experts from the previous world are about to surface. Thinking of this, Yi Chun's eyes narrowed. A cold light flashed through them. Those people really think that a small town's gate and low walls can stop me. They better not find trouble with me, or else. The next morning, Yi Chun took Ren Hongchang with him and led the 1,000 Samsara Legion towards Shangdo Prefecture. Dian Wei, on the other hand, led the 800,000 surrendered soldiers to Samsara Town. Along the way, Yi Chun met many players, wave after wave. When these players saw Yi Chun from afar, they all avoided him. No one dared to approach him. Yi Chun's shout in the World Channel last night had a certain effect. The players who had publicized the scene in Luoyang played a key role. Humans were always afraid of death, and they were also afraid of loss. Not only did they lose consciousness, but they could also turn into idiots. No one dared to try. However, while the individual players didn't dare to cause trouble for Yi Chun, the Lord players didn't give up. 1,000 Chance Town had just been upgraded last night. They had even worked overnight to build a low wall. Although it was called a wall, it was actually only 1 or 2 meters higher than the courtyard walls. In fact, it wasn't a wall at all. However, this gave 1,000 Chance Town's Lord player, Wang Qianji, a lot of courage. Therefore, he led his archers to ambush Yi Chun. However, the result was out of Wang Qianji's expectations. All the arrows he shot were swept away by Yi Chen's spear. Then, he was chased away by Yi Chen like a dog and fled back to Thousand Chance Town. Thousand Chance Town. On the low wall, Wang Qianji looked at Yi Chen, who was riding on his horse, with a smug face. "Ha ha, are you dumbfounded? Do you know what this is?" Wang Qianji said to Yi Chen with a proud face. After he finished speaking, he even patted the wall. "Let me tell you, this is a wall. I want to see how your cavalry will attack a city." Wang Qianji said and laughed wildly. "Have you read a book?" Yi Chen sighed and asked. "What book?" Wang Qianji asked in confusion. "How do you become an idiot? I suggest you take a look." Yi Chen said indifferently. "Mother asterisk cur shoot. Shoot this bastard to death." Wang Qianji was stunned at first. Then he became furious and shouted at the archers on the wall. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A series of air-piercing sounds were heard. Hundreds of arrows were shot at Yi Chen. Yi Chen shook his head helplessly. He gently waved the Godslayer in his right hand a few times and blocked all the arrows. "I want to see how many times you can block them." When Wang Qianji saw Yi Chen casually sweeping away the arrows, his face immediately turned extremely ugly. He then opened his mouth and shouted, "I don't have time to waste with you." Yi Chen squinted his eyes and then shouted, "Kill! Kill! Kill! Kill!" The Samsara Legion raised their guns and shouted. Nay, Yi Chen squeezed the horse's belly with his feet, and the war horse instantly rushed to Thousand Chance Town. At this moment, the Samsara Legion also started to charge. "Ha ha, mother of Astra's cur. So Yi Chen, who is said to be so awesome, is actually an idiot. Ha ha, this is a wall. You dare to use cavalry to charge?" Wang Qianji laughed wildly. However, at this moment, a loud sound was heard. Bang! Qianji Town's sturdy city gate instantly burst open. At this moment, Yi Chen also rushed into Qianji Town on his horse. What? Wang Qianji turned around and looked at Yi Chen, who rushed into Thousand Chance Town. His eyes suddenly became blank, and then he exclaimed, "Those who resist will be killed without mercy." Yi Chen shouted and then rushed to the mayor's mansion. Wang Qianji was stunned at first. Then his face suddenly changed. He hurriedly shouted at Yi Chen, "Boss Yi Chen, don't go, let's talk things over." However, Yi Chen went straight to the mayor's mansion. There were many maids in Thousand Chance Town's mayor's mansion. When Yi Chen arrived, they all screamed in fright. Yi Chen did not pay attention to these maids and looked directly at the stone tablet in the hall. He smiled coldly and fiercely stabbed the Godslayer with his right hand. Bang! A sound was heard, and the cornerstone of Thousand Chance Town was instantly broken. Originally, it would take a long time for a king-level general to break this thing. However, Yi Chen was holding the innate treasure Godslayer. It would be strange if it did not break. At this moment, the system prompt sounded in Yi Chen's ears. Congratulations to player Yi Chen for capturing Thousand Chance Town. Please choose 1. Occupy. 2. Destroy. 3. Plunder. Destroy. Chapter 114. Yi Chen did not hesitate to choose the second option. Ding. Player Yi Chen chose to destroy Thousand Chance Town. Calculating resources. Ding. Congratulations to player Yi Chen for obtaining 982 million grains, purple coins X29120, gold X1525568, copper X***, stone X18231, iron X102019, wood X293981. With the end of the system prompt, the huge Qianji town suddenly turned into dust. Wang Qianji, who was running towards the mayor's mansion, was stunned. He looked at the ruins of Thousand Chance Town in disbelief, and then let out a miserable howl. No, this can't be real. It can't be real. At this moment, Wang Qianji was on the verge of collapse. After going through untold hardships and exhausting a huge amount of resources, he finally caught up with the second wave of territory upgrading and became a Lord-level player. But before he could achieve his ambitions, Thousand Chance Town was turned into ruins. This cruel reality stimulated him when he thought about it. He knelt on the ground with a plop. His face was full of disbelief, and his mouth was full of nonsense. At this moment, a world announcement suddenly sounded. Ding! Thousand Chance Town was destroyed by Great Han Empire's General Yi Chun. Thousand Chance Town was removed from the Great Desolate World. Ding! Thousand Chance Town was destroyed by Great Han Empire's General Yi Chun. Thousand Chance Town was removed from the Great Desolate World. Ding! Thousand Chance Town was destroyed by Great Han Empire's General Yi Chun. Thousand Chance Town was removed from the Great Desolate World. The world channel instantly quieted down because of this announcement. Then, it suddenly became lively. Damn, what'd I just see? Thousand Chance Town? Damn, last night, a group of lords leveled up their territory from a village to a town. One of them was destroyed. Damn, you didn't get to the point. The point is, the one who destroyed Thousand Chance Town was Yi Chun. Damn, Yi Chun is so cruel. I saw that Templar Town had a city wall. What's city wall? That's also called a city wall. It's a tall courtyard wall, okay? Whether it's the city walls or the courtyard walls, the crux of the problem is, didn't Yi Chun lead his cavalry? Since when can cavalry attack a city? Damn, cavalry is also a soldier. Don't forget, Yi Chun's cavalry is fierce and ruthless. They can kill over 1 million people in a few breaths of time. Boss Yi Chun is awesome. Boss Yi Chun is mighty. Boss Yi Chun, kill all those Lord-ranked players. Ha ha ha. Yes, yes. Kill all those Lord-class players and destroy their territories. That way, no one will dare to bully us. Yi Chun, Beauty Town, is willing to form an alliance with Samsara Town. Please contact me when you see this. Yi Chun, Templar Town, is willing to form an alliance with Samsara Town. Please contact me when you see this. Everyone, pay attention. Yesterday, we used 1 million soldiers to beat Yi Chun to the point of exhaustion. Those who want to kill Yi Chun, don't miss this opportunity. Yes, if you want to kill Yi Chun, you need to act quickly. Kill him, and the king rank art will be at your fingertips. Yi Chun doesn't have much strength left to fight. Those who want to kill Yi Chun, hurry up. Don't give Yi Chun a chance to recover. Yi Chun had turned on the world channel last night and hadn't turned it off yet. At this moment, Yi Chun saw all the words on the world channel. Yi Chun's eyes narrowed as a cold glint flashed past his eyes. The words encouraging the players at the end came from the leaders of the player factions yesterday. It was very childish, and many people could understand it. However, these words could also influence some people who wanted to take the risk and profit from the fire. Those who were originally hesitant might come looking for trouble with Yi Chun after seeing the words on the world channel. They might even find an opportunity to kill Yi Chun and obtain the reward of a special mission. Although trouble would continue to exist, but there wouldn't be so much Sanctuary Town, Beauty Town. Thinking of this, Yi Chun smirked. He then looked at the Samsara Legion and shouted, "Let's go!" "Yes, Lord." The Samsara Legion replied in unison and followed Yi Chun to Shandong Prefecture. "Yi Chun, you bastard! Compensate my Qinji Town! Compensate my Qinji Town!" Wang Qinji heard the sound of the horses galloping and came back to his senses. He then shouted at the Samsara Legion, who were leaving in a carefree manner. As he shouted, Wang Qinji started to cry. His cries were so heartbroken that it was as if his heart was broken. Qinji Town, his painstaking effort, was gone just like that. It had become a pile of ruins. The townspeople who used to belong to him were all at a loss. They then left in 2s and 3s. His soldiers also left one by one. Not long after, Wang Qinji was the only one left in the ruins of Qinji Town. He was crying in despair. He regretted it, but it was useless. The moment he attacked Yi Chun, Qinji Town's fate was sealed. Yi Chun led the Samsara Legion and galloped. Smoke and dust billowed along the way. There were many players in the novice area of the 3 kingdoms. It didn't take long for someone to discover Yi Chun's tracks. However, no one dared to go forward. This was because Yi Chun's Samsara Legion was too domineering. That huge white tiger killed millions of people in an instant. After being killed, they either fainted or became idiots. Although many people said that they didn't believe it on the World Channel, no one dared to ask Yi Chun to confirm the authenticity of this matter. Rather than fainting or becoming idiots, it was better to fight monsters and level up. Chapter 115. Yi Chun's path was free from the harassment of other players because of the White Tiger Battle Formation's terrifying might. As for the Lord-level players, most of them had calmed down and given up on their plans against Yi Chun because of the world announcement of Thousand Machines Town's destruction. Yi Chun's dominance and the strength of the Samsara Legion had been deeply ingrained in the hearts of the players. Although he was unable to completely suppress the majority of the players, no one dared to attack Yi Chun in the short term. This included the leaders of the major forces that had attacked Yi Chun and suffered heavy losses. At this moment, they were starting to become unstable internally. They no longer had the time, energy, or strength to attack Yi Chun. Otherwise, they would not have posted such despicable things on the World Channel. Although 99% of the players had given up on the special mission to obtain Jiaochan because of Yi Chun's tyrannical dominance. However, the world did not lack people who were desperate to take risks. Yi Chun, who was rushing towards Yuzhou in the northeast, would soon encounter one or even two or three Lord-level players who wanted to test the strength of the Samsara Legion. In order to deal with Yi Chun's Samsara Legion, these Lord-level players did everything they could. Horse traps, rolling logs, and rocks. They used all sorts of items, but the results were surprisingly consistent. They were all ineffective. The Samsara Legion had one player and 3 mounts. Although they had lost some of their war horses, the Samsara Legion was unharmed. To Yi Chun, the loss of his war horses was not a big deal. As long as the Samsara Legion did not suffer any losses, Yi Chun did not care about the loss of his war horses. However, this had also angered Yi Chun. None of the towns that attacked could withstand the sharpness of Yi Chun's Godslayer. The town's gate was destroyed in one hit. The town's foundation was shattered in one shot. Yi Chun mercilessly destroyed the territories of all the Lord-class players who attacked Yi Chun and stole a large amount of resources. Every once in a while, there would be a world announcement. Ding! Black Cloud Town has been destroyed by the Great Han Empire's General Yi Chun. Black Cloud Town has been removed from the Great Wasteland World. Ding! Soaring Cloud Town has been destroyed by the Great Han Empire's General Yi Chun. Soaring Cloud Town has been removed from the Great Desolate World. Towards the end, whenever Yi Chun was attacked or in danger, he would immediately activate the White Tiger Battle Formation. One town after another was instantly destroyed by Yi Chun, and countless resources were snatched away. On the 3rd day, Yi Chun reached Guangping County and headed straight for Hejin. At this time, the lore players who dared to cause trouble for Yi Chun were finally gone. Yi Chun continued to destroy the towns of Lord-class players, and every one of them would be announced to the world. Every time the world announcement was made, the players' understanding of Yi Chun would be refreshed. It was 2F** King Brutal. On the 4th day, Yi Chun arrived at Zhongwu. At noon, he entered Yuzhou and arrived at Beiping County in the afternoon. This place belonged to Yuzhou, and in a few hours, Yi Chun would be able to return to Samsara Town and complete his special quest. However, countless players appeared in Beiping County. Without exception, they were all riding on war horses and scattered in groups of 3 to 5. Looking at the players that filled the mountains and plains, Yi Chun narrowed his eyes. They want to follow me and find out the exact location of Samsara Town. That's a good idea. Speed up. Yi Chun shouted without turning his head. Then, he urged his horse to gallop towards Liaoxi. Rumble. The war horses galloped, and the earth began to tremble. The Samsara Legion began to speed up and followed Yi Chun towards Liaoxi. When the players who had come here and were prepared to follow Yi Chun saw this, they all gave chase without hesitation. Yi Chun, who was galloping, looked back and smiled coldly. Time passed by slowly. When Yi Chun had galloped for the time it took for an incense stick to burn, he suddenly shouted, "Turn around!" After Yi Chun finished speaking, he immediately turned around. The Samsara Legion behind him also turned around with Yi Chun. Damn! Yi Chun, turn around. Could it be that he wants to kill us? Damn, this is bad. We've been tricked. Damn, spread out. Exclamations sounded one after another. A cold glint flashed in Yi Chen's eyes as he watched the players react. Then he shouted, "White Tiger battle formation! Kill! 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 Kill!" The Samsara Legion shouted in unison. An intense, murderous aura appeared in an instant and gathered in the sky. In the blink of an eye, a huge white tiger appeared in the sky and descended, enveloping Yi Chun and the Samsara Legion. Roar! A deafening roar came from the white tiger's mouth. In the next second, the white tiger leaped and turned into a stream of light, charging towards the players who had gathered to chase Yi Chun. No, no, Boss Yi Chun, I was wrong. I won't do it again. No, I don't want to become an idiot. I beg you, Boss Yi Chun, please spare me. Terrified cries for mercy could be heard one after another. However, it was too late. The stream of light flashed past in a breath. Boom, boom, boom. A series of body explosions rang out. The players who wanted to chase after Yi Chun, along with their war horses, were all turned into blood mist. Chapter 116. Yi Chun turned his horse around and looked at the bloody mist in front of him. He smiled coldly. Do you really think I won't do anything just because you're following me? Thinking of this, Yi Chun sent a message in the World Channel. If you want to fight, then fight. If you want to follow me, then continue. You're on your own. The moment Yi Chun's message appeared, the entire World Channel exploded. F***CK. Boss Yi Chun has spoken again. From the looks of it, it seems like someone has gone to cause trouble for Boss Yi Chun again. It's obvious. Someone is following Yi Chun, but Boss Yi Chun saw them and killed them. F***CK. Why do I feel like those who are killed will faint or turn into idiots? That's very likely. The warning in the great myth of Yi Chun is very strong. That's probably the case. The World Channel was very lively. After a few minutes, another group of people exclaimed, F***CK. I immediately went offline when I saw the message. Sure enough, someone fainted again. I also went offline. In the safe city I live in, there are a few more crazy people. Haha, I knew it. These people are awesome. They're really not afraid of death. They actually follow Boss Yi Chun. It's okay if they faint, but if they become idiots, it'll be worse than death. Definitely. However, they won't feel bad if they become idiots. Rumble. The war horses galloped, stirring up clouds of dust. Yi Chun led the Samsara Legion straight to Liaoshi. As they passed by Yangli County, they didn't see a single person. They should have seen players everywhere. Yi Chun was stunned for a moment. Then, he couldn't help but smirk. They're afraid. Yi Chun had appeared in Yangli County before. There was also a group of reckless players who thought that Yi Chun was an NPC. They wanted the NPC to kill them, so that they could ask the county magistrate for compensation. In the end, they were all arrested and sent to jail. Originally, no one knew about Yi Chun's identity, much less the Samsara Legion. However, when Yi Chun entered Luoyang and caused a bloodbath, the players in Yangli County learned of one thing. Back then, the NPC general was Yi Chun, and the NPC army was the Samsara Legion. Yi Chun's name, Yi Chun's dominance, and Yi Chun's devilishness had all been passed down by the players. In addition, there were so many people in the world talking about the players who were killed in the game, fainted, or even turned into idiots. The players from Yangli County no longer dared to have any ideas about Yi Chun. Not long ago, Yi Chun had killed a group of players who had been following him. The spam on the World Channel had undoubtedly told everyone one thing. Another player was killed by Yi Chun in the game and fainted in real life. There were even some who became mentally retarded. This immediately frightened the players in Yangli County. No one dared to have any ideas about Yi Chun. Not only did they not dare, but they were also afraid of being misunderstood by Yi Chun. All of them ran back to Yangli County and stayed there obediently. As for the novice player factions in the Three Kingdoms, all of them fell silent. They did not send anyone to follow Yi Chun. After probing once, they knew Yi Chun's bottom line. No one was willing to test him again. The gains did not make up for the losses. If they wanted to investigate Samsara Town's location, there was no need to do it in front of Yichun. They could do it in private. Glancing at Yangla County not far away, Yichun shouted, "Speed up!" "Yes, my lord," the Samsara Legion shouted in unison. Rumble. The war horses galloped and rushed into the fork in the outskirts of Yangla County before disappearing. Samsara Forest. When Yichun rode into the border of Samsara Forest, he sent people to scout the area. After confirming that no one was following him, he led people into Samsara Forest. Samsara Valley. When Yichun arrived here, he immediately saw the huge body of the blue-eyed Tiger King. Even though it had been dead for a long time, the body of the blue-eyed Tiger King still did not decompose. At this moment, thousands of Samsara Town residents were busy moving the body of the blue-eyed Tiger King. Did the plan succeed? It should have succeeded. Yichun frowned slightly and thought uncertainly. At this moment, it had been a full 4 days since Yichun left Samsara Town. When Guojia gave Yichun advice, he mentioned using Yinhu's roar to confuse the Wuhuan spies who wanted to investigate the truth. However, because of the delay of the special mission, Yichun did not return immediately. Therefore, Yinhu could not be summoned back to the game by Yichun. This was also why Yichun was not sure if the plan to confuse the Wuhuan spies had succeeded. It should have succeeded. Such a small problem could not stump Guojia. Thinking of this, Yichun could not help but smile. Guojia was a first-class historical official. Such a small problem was not a problem in his eyes. At this moment, a villager suddenly saw Yichun. After being stunned for a moment, he immediately shouted excitedly, "My lord, it's my lord! My lord is back!" Wow! The townspeople who were moving the body of the blue-eyed Tiger King stopped what they were doing and looked at Yichun, who had returned on horseback, with a joyful expression. The next second, thousands of townspeople bowed in unison and said, "Welcome back, my lord. Welcome back, General Pingbei." Chapter 117. Yichun looked at the excited townspeople and nodded slightly. He then rode his horse into the Reincarnation Valley. At the entrance of Reincarnation Town, Yichun had just arrived when he saw a large group of townspeople waiting for him. The echoes of the valley were very loud. The townspeople had heard the shouts of the townspeople who were transporting the blue-eyed Tiger King. They all ran out to welcome Yichun. "Welcome back, my lord." Guojia, who was in the front row, bowed with a smile. "Welcome back, my lord." Zhao Hong bowed and said excitedly, "Welcome back, my lord." The townspeople of Reincarnation Town shouted in unison. Yichun smiled and nodded. He then looked at Zhao Yu, who was beside Zhao Hong. "Zhao Yun's sister. Her name has been changed." The two of them looked at each other. In an instant, Yichun understood Zhao Yu. Zhao Yu also understood Yichun. Yichun did not say anything. Zhao Yu did not say anything. At this moment, no words could compare to a simple hug. Yichun let out a long breath. He then rode forward and came to Zhao Yu's side. He bent down and pulled Zhao Yu onto the horse and hugged her. "Let's go back," Yichun said softly. He then rode into Reincarnation Town. The moment Yichun rode into Reincarnation Town, the system notification sounded. Ding! Congratulations to player Yichun for successfully returning to Reincarnation Town. Special quest. Ownership of Diaochan completed. Ding! Congratulations to player Yichun for obtaining Innate Attribute Points X2, Huanyang Pill X2, Lucky Draw X1. Ren Hongchang has been unsealed and recognized as its owner. At this moment, Ren Hongchang, who was sitting behind Yichun, suddenly emitted a red light. Then, a fragrance wafted into Yichun's nostrils. When the red light dissipated, Ren Hongchang, who was wearing patched clothes and covered in dirt, was gone. In front of Yichun, a woman wearing a white skirt with a pale pink brocade wrapped around her chest appeared. She was 16 years old, had a graceful figure, and her entire body emitted the sweet fragrance of orchids. She was delicate and pretty, yet didn't lose her charm. Yichun's first impression of her was that she was beautiful. His second impression was that she was so beautiful that she was otherworldly. His third impression was that she was extremely beautiful. The woman opened her eyes and looked at Yi Chun. After a slight pause, she said in a clear voice, "Diao Chan greets the Lord." At this moment, the system notification sounded again. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun for obtaining the loyalty of the historical beauty Diao Chan. When Yi Chun heard this, he couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Diao Chan is finally mine. Just as Yi Chun finished thinking, the world announcement sounded. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun for being the first to obtain the loyalty of the historical beauty Diao Chan. Player Yi Chun is rewarded with reputation points plus 5 million and 10 million gold taels. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun for being the first to obtain the loyalty of the historical beauty Diao Chan. Player Yi Chun is rewarded with reputation points plus 5 million and 10 million gold taels. The moment the world announcement sounded, the world channel immediately exploded. There's no justice. Diao Chan, the #1 beauty of the 4 great beauties, Diao Chan, is gone just like that. I don't want to say that I'm envious, and I don't want to say that I'm jealous, but I can't help but say it. Damn it, Yi Chun, you scum. Give me back my Diao Chan. Damn it. Although I expected it, when I heard the world announcement, I still felt a strange pain in my heart. My Diao Chan was stolen just like that. Boss Yi Chun, please accept me as your underling. I'm willing to be your underling. I don't ask for money. I just want to see Diao Chan every day. Congratulations to General Pingbei Yi Chun for successfully capturing the heart of a beauty. St. Hall Town once again invites General Yi Chun to discuss an alliance. Congratulations to General Pingbei Yi Chun for successfully capturing the heart of a beauty. Beauty Town once again invites General Yi Chun to discuss an alliance. Congratulations to General Pingbei Yi Chun. I represent the New Yen Huang Alliance to invite General Yi Chun to participate in the first Yen Huang conference. The world channel constantly refreshed, and Yi Chun saw it one by one. However, Yi Chun chose to ignore it all. There were benefits to forming an alliance, but there were also many disadvantages. It was better not to form one. As for the Yen Huang conference, it had appeared in the last life, but it was quickly forgotten. Yi Chun did not care about it all. Just at this moment, an obviously different piece of content appeared in the world channel. Did I miss something interesting? Who is Diao Chan? Looking at what you guys are saying, she seems to be a beauty. She was taken in by that Yi Chun. What a waste. However, I don't mind. Tell me, where is Yi Chun? You dumb husky, you trash. You dare to sneak attack your grandpa pig? I'm telling you, this isn't over. You dumb husky, you dare to rape your cat granny? Just you wait. If I don't castrate you, I swear I'm not a cat. F***CK. You two trash. What are you acting cool for? Let me tell you, if you continue acting cool, I won't take care of you so easily. All right, little wildcat. I didn't expect you to still be a virgin. Don't worry, I'll take good care of you in the future. Seeing this, Yi Chun squinted his eyes. You actually dare to have ideas about me. This dog is really tired of living. Thinking about this, a cold light flashed across Yi Chun's eyes. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.